Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It won't just be me this stream, chat. I will later be joined by, you may know him, you may watch his stuff, one of the best information-based content creators on the Crew Motorfest. Don't know him? Chat, you may have heard of Simji, who of course has a take, as many people did, on my video on Grand Race, so I thought I might get him on. We'll just play some Grand Races, we'll chill, but we'll also talk about the Grand Race situation. OMG, chat, the Grand Race situation is crazy. And then, chat, if me and Simji will get in a big yelling match, so then Penguin Zero, tomorrow makes a Grand Race situation is crazy video. Welcome, though. How's everyone doing? First person in chat was Hyper Ames. Welcome, Jimmy Valma. Welcome, Jamie Cannell. Welcome, Shades Shorts. First person in Twitch chat was WSG. I can't read that. Boy Jude. Definitely good. The D. Everyone in chat, but hey, hi, hello. Just something so I can read some names. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everyone doing today, chat? We also have a few things to jump into. We've got new returning car. Tonight, chat, is when the Black Knight edition comes back. We also have a new article that we got to go into. It's probably going to be released around 3 p.m., but I'm going to be on with Simji at that time. So about 5 p.m. when they'll tweet the article, we'll run through the article, and then I'll probably have to dip around 6. Actually, I actually don't know when I'm gonna have to dip, but I'll ask Josh. I'm going to watch a movie tonight, chat, so I'm gonna be dipping around then. But I mean, I've got till like 6, chat. So anyone looking to get their Twitch drops, you will be getting your Twitch drops. So you just have to. So yeah, Twitch drops are still going, chat. If you haven't yet gotten the Aston Martin Vulcan the Duke, that thing is currently available in Twitch drops. You simply make sure you have your Ubisoft linked on your Twitch, so go to Twitch settings, and then just watch the stream for 2 hours. You watch the stream for 2 hours, you will immediately get this thing in your account. There's also a jacket that you get for half an hour, and an underglow, which I do actually have. I'm so late, what are you doing? You're so late, I just am not wearing a watch. I only just started streaming. Welcome, though, chat. Welcome. Everyone in chat, put hey, hi, hello, just something so I can read some names. Welcome, Corker. Welcome, John the Pork. Welcome, Jamie Brown. Welcome, O1GFR. Welcome, Bryson, Will, Yeshua, Salim. Or it should be Salim. Blood. Eastside. Welcome. That's Russian letters. I can't read that. SKDND. Welcome, Deli. Welcome, Lucas. Welcome, Yadant. How can I see if my account is linked? Switch settings somewhere. Chris Tennant. Hassan. Jaden. Dopest Jin. Jerome. Chat, can I tell you something cool? I'm actually such a dork for finding this cool, chat. But this is something really cool. The Russian name made me think of this again. I think this is really cool, okay? Chat, so, did you... Oh, by the way, okay, so this is the underglow you get for watching 1 hour. It's whatever. It's supposed to go with the Glow Motorsport stuff, which is the car out in the thing right now. Chat, did you know, chat? Oh, well, this is a topical Grand Race to be on. You know the game? You know the game where... where you are shown a bit of text, and the text is a color. So the text will say the color red, right? But it'll be in green. Let me show you a better example instead of me just yapping, going, Chat, did you know? Chat, did you know this? Here you go. Let me give you some better examples. So do you know the sort of game where you have to quickly tell what a bit of text says just by having it flash in front of you, like this, right? Or like it'll be green, but it'll be in yellow. And it'll flash on screen, and you have to quickly say what color you're seeing, right? We'll go the new thing, and I'll give you guys gameplay on the Vulcan Duke. That sort of game, right? Don't know it? Well, now you know it, right? That's like a thing. I've done it in school a few times. It's just a bit of fun. It tests, like, your mental processing power. But the thing is, chat, the thing is, what you're supposed to say when this flashes on screen, you're supposed to say what color the text is, right? You don't say green here, you say yellow. Say it was this, like this. You wouldn't say purple, you'd say orange, right? But the thing is, your brain reads it before it registers the color of it. So your brain would kind of like, would have to stutter. It would have to stop and process for a second. Now let me tell you a story about how they used to catch Russian spies back in the Cold War, chat. The thing is, your brain only stutters if you can read the text. So what they used to do back in the Cold War was they would do that trick where it would say a different color, but you would have to say what color the text is. They would use that trick, but they would write the names of colors in Russian. Because people who can only speak English, they would read it and they would, the text would mean nothing to them. They would only see the color and they would say the color. But they'd catch Russian spies if people stuttered and stopped, because that meant that they were actually... What? Because that meant they were actually able to read the original text writing, meaning they understood Russian. Damn it, and now the main stage thing is gone. This video game, man. Whatever, chat. How cool of a fact is that, though? Right? How cool, and I read that in a book, chat. That's how you already know it's a dorky thing to know. I read that in a book. A book about willpower. Because it was about how, you know, like, yada yada. It was just a cool thing they brought up in the book. Because obviously it's tangentially related to willpower, because the more depleted your willpower is, the less your brain can yada yada. If you sign into your user... Okay, there you go. Someone in chat is helping. But then all you need to do... Chat, I'll use the Duke because I wanted you guys to use the... I wanted you guys to be able to see the Duke. You know what? I was playing Grand Race earlier today, chat. You know what I've decided? Because of the crew motorfests, like, extreme levels. You know what? Actually, no. Okay, let me save everything I was just about to say for when Simji's on stream. Where's the barketter? I've been liking this thing. Chat, this thing's way nicer than I thought it was. I'll go with... Let's use the crown. I wonder when that thing's gonna come back. Guys, I believe I missed the Duke by a couple minutes. As much, well, what do you mean? Sorry if it's a lot. No, that's all good. It's all good. Helping out in the chat. Watching someone doing drag races because I'm too broke to do it myself. The crown is... Oh, is it that bad? Oh, no. Is the crown that... Like, how ass is it? If I can find another good Crew 2 Summit car. Never mind. Looks like we're going with the crown. What a... The crown would have made sense in the Lowrider Dong update, because it's like a... What's that style of customized car called? Where they have, like, the curtains on the windows, and they have, like, an interior, like... wine holder and stuff. What are those kind of cars called? They're like professionals or something. What? I forget what it's called. There's a word for it. Like Japanese cars that are customized all VIP. Yeah, VIP. That's what it is. VIP builds are. That's what the crown looks like to me. It looks like a VIP build. Ricers. That's not ricing. Curtains on the window isn't a racing enhancement. Last I checked, people in what? British touring car? They don't have curtains on their cars. Never mind. Yeah. Pimp my ride, guys? No, not pimp my ride. There's like a specific thing, which is yeah. Is that worth it if you can't, if the wall's not already broken? Probably. Something out of dubs. Yeah, it's that same kind of like vibe of car. Dubs are something different, but they're like dubs. Like we see them a bunch of car meets in the UK. I see them at a bunch of car meets, VIP builds. The ones with the curtains and the wine holders and the whatevers on the interiors. They're quite cool. My mate wants to get one, but like, you know, what are you gonna do once you've got a car like that? Oh, look, you've got a VIP build where it's really VIP if you sit in the back. Okay, you're gonna be the one driving it. You know? Who, Dylan or Josh? Dylan. Sid in a... Ah! I thought this was a different... I thought that was a completely... I thought... What did I just think? I thought I was doing the Donut Media race. For some reason, my brain thought I was doing German X Qualitat. Skill issue? No, it absolutely is. It's because I do that race too much. So my brain went, okay, let me read chat. So let me read chat and go on autopilot. But I went on, I plugged in the wrong autopilot file, chat. You thought, whoa, that is what happened. Okay, it's not the one that's right here, it's the one over here. Whatever. Using my NOS 2 seconds earlier or not, whatever. Oh, the Veyron Barcaster. How, chat, quick review on this thing. Any goods? Any bad? Does this thing suck? Is this thing great? Look, chat, look, a misinput of skill. If this was the Donut Meteor event, I would have gone nuts there. It's okay? Alright. Mid, that's fair enough. See, people forget that mid isn't a negative thing. Mid is middle of the road, mediocre. And I'll take mediocre right now, you know? But yeah, if this was the Donut Meteor event, chat, I would have just hit the nuttiest line you've ever seen. I truly did just input the wrong file. This is a silly cut. Yeah, that was stupid. That was stupid. I've let Hooligan catch up to me. What the hell is that wall? What the hell is that? What's that wall stopping me from doing? It's at the top of mid, which is the bottom of the top. There you go. And I'll take it. Okay, these are shoddy attempts at wall rides. And Hooligan's right up my rear end using the Cento di Ecchi. Get off me, man. You know what they need to do? They need to nerf the Cento di Ecchi. Because I hear that I swear the Cento di Ecchi is just like a good entry-level car. Like, not even really. I don't know. My knowledge of meta is like the crew server. So I don't make meta guides. Or like a meta vehicle guides. Cento abuser, but like the Cento's still a very good entry-level car. Go! Why I didn't catch the cup? Is he gonna? No, he isn't. Good. Lamau. Chat Lamau. What are we in next? No! The crown! No! No! Shut the crown! Me when I really don't like the look of the royal family. No! See, I'm already going too fast for its own good. I'm already losing MPH. Oh, sorry, KMH. Why am I KMH at all? Yeah, whatever. Okay, whatever. I'm in the crown. My word! How much understeer? This thing's understeers. Oh, and now I'm gonna get caught up to... Okay, if I can maintain at least top 5. I'll give myself top 5. If I can maintain at least up to top 5. I'm losing speed like... Yeah, no, top 5 isn't happening, chat. At least, if I can at least keep top 10. If I can at least keep top 10. Oh. Does sound like a football match. Yeah, whatever, alright? 2 cars that shouldn't even be in Street Tier 2. What's the free car? Aston Martin Vulcan the Duke. Sorry, I didn't know breathing in the direction of R2 midway through turn meant I would like to touch the wall now. What am I supposed to do? I feel like a grandma going through these turns. Sorry, am I supposed to indicate as well? Like, what are we doing here? Oh, and now 6th is up my rear end. Oh, hello? You know what? I can still see every single person who overtook me during that section. So I'm gonna take... That's a lie. 2nd place overtook me. I'm gonna take it though, chat. All things considered, I think I did a pretty good job at maintaining any dignity being in the crown. Horrible. Horrible. Horrible! Should I upload $10 a month for PS Plus or buy the game on PC for $20? I mean, you could do either one because the game's cross progression. So if you bought the game on PC, you would have everything you have in PlayStation. Good. SidWaj livery on the Black Panther is fixed now. Forgot to change the SidWaj thing on the livery. By the way, chat, let me tell you something right now. And let me just get this out because it's been really annoying to not get this out. I've got something cooking, chat. It's something UK-based. It's something more mainstream. And it's cooking.
A new playlist
and I just have to get that out.
Speak to you
You'll
soon,
see it when you see it. Something's cooking. And I should have been able to talk about it before, but I couldn't talk about it before, so I have to talk about it now. But chat quickly, just in case there's any Russian spies in chat. What color is this? Quick, what color is it? Quick, chat, quick, what color is it? Every single one of you who's hesitated, you're going down, chat. See, the thing is, a lot of you saying other colors, I actually don't know what the color this, like, I don't actually know what color I translated here. There's too many Russian spies in my chat. Someone called me out the other day. Someone got really mad at me for saying chat in my comment section. They were like, God, I already didn't like you, but referring to chat as though it's a different person, like, linguistically? They were like, oh, this has tossed me over the edge. I was like, huh? What did me calling my chat have to do with anything? Okay, chat. See, now it feels weird. Now I feel... Chat, it's about time to get Simji into the stream, is it not, chat? I'll probably have to turn off the music, but don't worry, we'll have Simji's beautiful singing voice for background music instead. I will ring him directly. Hang on, chat. I'm just making sure that audio is all set. I'm gonna ring him. Once I've got audio sorted, he's gonna be on that channel. Da, 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 da. Background music, you'll probably hear him through there. Wait, no, you won't. Okay, you won't be able to hear him straight away. I'm gonna have to figure out hearing him. Where the hell is the thing for the thing? Out of source, audio capture. Audio output capture. What? 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 Chad, who would have thought this would be so difficult? Okay, let me do this. You. Come in. And then let me go back to this. And then let me do this. There we go. Set that to Simji once he joins. And... alright, chat. Here we go. Hello, hello. Let me sort out the properties, put this to this, and say hello to the chat.
What's up, chat?
Chat, can you hear him? Can you hear him good? Can you hear him fine? Can you hear him over anything else? How's the audio, chat?
Yeah, let Sid know so he can balance it out.
There we go. That's on that channel. I can separate it. Well, clearer than Sid. Hey, you guys take that back right now. I hit too loud.
That's crazy.
Let me put it down to... there we go. Clearer than me through Discord compression. It's outrageous. Chat, you... there we go. Clear. This is all. We can hear him. We can hear him. There we go. Perfect. 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 I will... are you on the game?
Yes, I am. Let me see if I can join you.
Did you just get on, or are you appearing offline?
No, I should be online.
Oh.
No, yeah, I'm not offline.
Huh. Well, this is the Crew Motorfest, yeah.
I see you, but I can't join you. I can invite you. See if that works.
I have to have my invites off because it does the thing where it glues on the stream.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can join through Ubisoft Connect. How you doing though? Welcome, welcome. How's it going? Woke up late, so exhausted. But catching a movie later, so could be worse. Wait, does it say you're playing Motorfest? Maybe it does. Ubisoft Disconnect, honestly? Yes. Okay, wait, hang on. Try invite me again? Wait, hang on. I clicked a thing. It did this in the... it didn't take us ages to join in the... the other build as well, in the early access. How what? I guess I'll restart my game for the sake of it. Chat. Oh, it probably would be. Chat, did you know, by the way, did you know that there is still a bug to this day that on Ubisoft Connect, and I don't know if it's a Ubisoft Connect bug or a Motorfest bug, if you open Ubisoft Connect in any way, like bring up an article, just open it on the left, get a notification, anything that shows up on screen will just get stuck there. Like, the game goes on in the background, and you just can't do anything. What video game are we playing, chat? And that's been from launch. been keeping up with any good shows at all? Nah. See, I try to. I try to be more active on like actually watching YouTube, because one of the things is I barely watch like people in my own space, people not other people. Mostly I'll just watch like the longer like video essay types. I'll watch like news because I'm getting old, and then I'll watch like, I don't know, the occasional philosophy thing. I do that a lot, to be fair. I do that a lot. Well, for me, I'll jump from, like, different... like, if I'm playing God of War at the time, I will binge through anything God of War. If I'm playing Spider-Man, I'll binge through anything like that. If I'm playing something Star Wars related, I'll binge through anything like that. And it goes like that. Right now, I'm binging through Suits, but I have to hit not recommended because it keeps giving me spoiler stuff. Exactly. Yeah. No, because I'll go on YouTube because it knows I'm watching Suits, and I'll get like the equivalent of like the scene where this guy fights this guy and this guy dies. It's like, I don't wanna. Don't tell me that it has a scene like that. Video essays are so nice, especially ones from fun. What video essays do I watch? What's even in my history, chat? Chat, watch history reveal. Oh, I'll watch a fair bit of Smosh, chat, but not like main Smosh. I'll watch Smosh, Smosh Pit, Smosh. Oh, do I? That makes sense. Chat, you're Simji-less.
Yeah.
There you go, chat.
Simji-less.
You've been given your Simji back, and now be aware that I have this power, chat. I can take your Simji away from you. All right, let me hop back in the game. Oh, there we go. You're in my crew immediately. Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
There we go. All right. I'll build us into some Grand Race.
It should be fun.
I'll probably... I mean, I assume you're okay with it. I'll probably... Well, I don't know if I'll get around to it, but I'll record and I might turn it into a video.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, to be movie stuff. I'll watch a lot of movie stuff as well. Like, movie and TV show related stuff. Like a breakdown or a upcoming... one of the main podcasts I listen to is a movie one. Oh, and then it's just editing stuff. It's just spam searches and results of X thing sound effect.
Is there any series that you love more than the other?
Like, what's a series that's like the top of the top for me?
Yeah, like just one that you're just like, listen, I can watch like all these all the time. Like they just are better.
It'd
like,
have
enjoyable
to be. It'd have to be The Bear. The Bear is currently my 10 out of 10 series. There's a third season that people don't like as much because people are silly and they expect characters not to grow at all and just be stuck in stone for the entire time and not actually have responses to things that happened. But The Bear, have you heard of The Bear?
Have not.
Oh, it's a show about... See, the thing is, it's a really hard show to sell. Because if I say something like, it's a show about cooking, that doesn't really give you much. But the issue with the show is that its premise and everything is... It never holds your hand. It will just show you anything and everything through the talking, through the characters, through the dialogue. It'll hint at things. It'll never, like, actively say, oh, and can you believe... Oh, Mr. Jimbo, you know me. I'm your friend and have been for this long. Which I'm having to tell you because we need the audience to know. Never does that kind of thing. It's so good, though. The only pitch I've got for it is... Guy, big, fancy Michelin star chef, in a restaurant which, then has to come back to his local, like, place in Chicago, which I think is actually filmed in Chicago, as his brother, ended his own life, and he has to take over this local deli restaurant after coming from a Michelin star place, but it's a phenomenal show.
Sounds interesting.
What would you say is yours? You have a good go-to show?
Not recently, no. I've kind of faded out a little bit with watching shows like all the time.
Yeah. How did you? What the? How? Were we all ghosted?
Yeah, you were in the low speed.
Has the ghosting worked consistently for you? Because I've had it multiple times where someone is dead slow in front. What? I've had it multiple times where people are dead slow in front of me, and I've still managed to hit them.
So it really depends on how slow, because there's an actual speed cap. I think it's like around 50 to 60 like miles per hour on there. So if they're going anything above that, then it won't work.
Fascinating. Because I've definitely had people. There was one that was like almost dead stop for a decent amount of time, and he started, I think, rolling backwards. Managed to hit me.
Yeah, it might be just inconsistent. Wouldn't surprise me.
Damn it! That's such a good start. I got rammed over a wall. How do you avoid turn ramming, especially on the start? What's the strat to that, or is it just be on the inside?
Honestly, for me, it's just knowing what a player would normally do and like the player's tendencies and trying to do the opposite of what, you know, they might initially do. Because you come across a lot of the same type of players.
Yeah.
They'll just try to force the inside, so you're like, okay, go for it, and then they go run wide, and I just take the inside. So
I try to do something like that, like the little white arrow at the bottom. I can. There's little ways you can tell, like if you're going around a turn wide and someone's still on your left side, they're probably coming in at 50 miles an hour, is what I've noticed. What have you thought about this whole update then? Minus the elephant in the room that we'll talk about the rest of the update.
oh, it's alright. I mean, the best thing about the big updates, like every 3 or now I guess it's gonna be 4 months, is everybody hopping back on and playing. It's always nice to see everybody and get to race again in like bigger lobbies, so it's good for that. Everything else, it's alright.
Interesting. Is lobbies being more packed noticeable when updates come out?
Well, not just like a bunch of people like sniping into races.
Oh,
so like
I guess, yeah, I suppose so. Like the audience is more active, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get like 10 plus people in a race and just all duke it out.
Why don't we get in private lobbies?
You know, no idea. I wish I had an answer for that.
Imagine the tournaments.
I mean, chat would be just popping off.
It's
like, that'd be so
I
fun.
see it as truly like a net good. Like, I can't imagine private lobbies would be something that, like, overall, it would do so much for any given content creator that I don't see why they go. Even if it's just in the PvP, even if you were like a car meter, you could just start the grand race and then sit at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like,
So even if you don't care about PvP, you could still like have the benefit of it.
Exactly. Like, it would do so much for any kind of content creator that I don't see why they don't prioritize private PvP. What I've said, to be fair, is that I think they need like a proper separate team that just does PvP updates. Like, and not tying it to the rest of the update, if that makes sense. Like, instead of having PvP have to be like a focus, like, oh, okay, this update we're gonna update something in PvP. Instead, have a team that's always working on something for PvP. Because of just how important of a thing it is from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, that would definitely alleviate some of the like picking and choosing. Like, oh, maybe they want to have more stuff in an update, but obviously with time, they're probably like, okay, we gotta prioritize these things, and then if we can get to it, then we'll get to it, and then if not, it'll just be pushed back to next season.
because there's a lot of like little things that still, I don't know, maybe that's just the cruise, it's the cruise MO at this point, but like, how are we still not processing cars in the vehicle selection menu, or have a timer in the vehicle selection menu?
Yeah.
It sucks because it's like I don't want that to take away from when they make good changes being like, these are good changes. It's just there's so many things that are like, but why hasn't this been done yet still?
Mm-hmm. Hey, valid.
What percent are you at?
81.
81? I'm in 5th at 74.
It's not too bad.
I will say, what I have been, I'd say this from the crew 2, from the crew 2 as well. What I've been as a player on Motorfest, and how I would describe myself, is more of like a top of the average player. I wouldn't say I'm like insane or really good, but I wouldn't exactly describe myself as a bad Motorfest player by any degree. And it depends if I can lock in, because if I can repeatedly do something, I can get consistency down at least. Like New York way back when.
Right. I mean, that's about anything, no?
Yeah.
Put enough time into it.
I think that's why I was better at Crew 2's PvP than I have been at Grand Race. Because the routes, even though they are consistent routes, they're not like, the checkpoints aren't randomly placed. There's no way to constantly come up against those routes that wouldn't take ages, I guess. Which is why I haven't been able to memorize them as well as I would have been able to just the base races that was the Crew 2.
Right.
And I mean, hence people want a Crew 2 style system. You have to wait for me. You've rushed out the lobby.
Yeah, just chilling.
I'm almost there. Don't worry. Average player can't finish a Grand Race, so he's alright. See, I'll take it. I would say I at least consistently come like... no, I'm not going to make any outrageous claims, actually. Never mind.
Retracted.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, like... I was going to say top 10, and then I was going to be more generous and say, like, top 7, and I definitely couldn't say top 5, but, like... You know, but I'll crash and I'll rage quit, so that probably brings up the average. Alright. I would say it's time to discuss the matter at hand.
Okay.
You saw my video that I made the other day talking about the Mainstage modifier, and your comment was that I missed the mark, or I think it was something along those lines, or the point, etc., something along that gist. So, having seen the video, and with the assumption that everyone in chat or hearing the conversation knows of that video and what was in it, elaborate.
Okay. So, main thing that I think was kind of portrayed as the main thing and reason the pros were mad in the video was that couldn't use meta cars, and also that it was too restrictive and all the time. The main thing, and from what I've seen and sentiment from like a bunch of other people as well as myself that feel this way, is the actual Mainstage modifier itself. And the day, the Saturday that they had for the modifier, it was the UK theme, but it was only on 3 specific classes that would rotate, so it would be different orders, but you'd just constantly be doing that the entire day. And the reason why that is a problem is because the restrictive class itself, because you only had a couple of options of cars, whereas before in regular grand races you have like between 10 and up to like 100 cars per class that you can choose from. So it being UK and it also being in those classes only, it gave it a very small margin of cars that you can actually choose from. So the point of the modifier, and a lot of people have been saying, is that it's supposed to create more variety and less meta, this and that, but it actually didn't even achieve that, because you'd see a lot more of the same cars over and over again. And in this case, it was more the meta cars. There's 2 out of the 3 cars were undeniably meta.
Yeah.
And you would see that constantly. So it didn't achieve what it was set out to do. And the pros and just the hardcore community in general, the competitive player, didn't like it because we are already playing the main stage modifier a lot. And then we had a whole day dedicated to this, and you couldn't do anything else. There's no other PvP that we have to actually play the game. So we either suck it up and play the same classes and use, even if we used a different car each race, we would, after like a couple of playlists, would be using all the cars that we have available to us. And that's not fun for not only a competitive player, but just in general. At some point, you're gonna get bored, and especially if you're playing the game upwards of like 8 hours, that some people do every day. And some people obviously don't play that many hours, and maybe that's why it might feel a bit more fresh to them. So I don't blame a more casual player for thinking it's more fun, because they maybe only have an hour or 2 on their hands that are free on that specific day. But the people that play constantly every week and they actually get to play on the Saturday, maybe if it's due to free time or anything like that, they're just playing the same thing over and over and over without a choice to do anything else. And that's the main thing, is having the choice. And that's what the modifier restricted is. It was way too restrictive, to the point where you don't have a choice. You would actually have more variety. Actually not having the modifier, because you have 70 cars you can choose from in Street Tier 2 or more. So from that point, that's why players that constantly play the game were a little bit more upset about it. And also the point that it was kind of, oh, like the sweats can't use meta cars, so that's why they're mad. Didn't really sit well with a lot of people, as you could see with the comments.
No, absolutely. So, okay, so for a place to start, what's more of the issue? Because you mentioned a few things. Is it that specific modifier itself that's more of the issue, or is it having, or is it the system of a modifier on all-day Saturdays? Which is more of the issues? Just for conversational sake to tackle first.
So the first thing, as something to consider with the modifier, is the limitations on the classes. So there shouldn't be a limitation on the classes. So you can actually do all the classes, and you can still have, let's say, again, if they run it again, the UK team, you would be able to do all the other classes, which we weren't able to do. We were only able to do Alpha GP, Rally, and Racing. So that would free up that and make it a little bit less monotonous. And you can actually have, quote unquote, a different experience, because you would have more rotations of playlists that you can actually go through and play. And then the restriction itself, it was fine, but there definitely is some restrictions, like some countries that you would have that have way less cars to choose from. So certain classes would maybe only have one, if maybe not none at all. So that would also limit some of the classes that you can have as a pool to choose from. And the time, obviously, that's a separate issue, which I don't know if you want to get into now.
We'll probably jump into that in a bit after. The first thing I would probably rebut is, so to describe the modifier as less variety-full than the than not having the modifier, although in a vacuum I could maybe understand that. because obviously but like, you know, by definition, it's a restriction on the vehicles you can use. Thus less vehicles, thus less variety. But now, to remove this specific restriction side of it, because like you said, 2 of the classes had a meta car in it anyway. I think you said that. I know people have said that, but
yeah, for this
so
modifier in specific.
Yeah, removing that and looking at the system as a whole. To describe the restriction as less variety-full, although on face value I can understand it, I think when you come out of it, though, if you zoom out of it, I think that kind of falls apart, because it's having the restriction at all which is the variety. Because it's not variety in the cars, it's variety in the gameplay. It's the fact that there is a limited pool of cars. And again, for this one specifically, it ended up being some metas anyway, but it's the fact that you're seeing cars that you wouldn't normally see a full Grand Race be. And that's the variety aspect over it, not the per Grand Race variety, but the Grand Race as a whole variety, if that makes sense. That I'd say that the restrictions still add more variety than less.
Okay.
Then I suppose the specific restriction. So you mentioned that it shouldn't be restricted to a certain class. Do you feel that they should never do that? So never restricting it to a certain class, or maybe always 5 or more, or where would you stand on? So say this restriction was British and Red Bull cars instead of just British, British, and then the 3 specs.
Okay.
What would you feel on that over this as a whole? How much more on the how much less dislike would you feel toward the whole system if that was the case?
Well, that's so you're saying adding an extra piece to the modifier, like as far as restriction, and then also
as in
like and having the classes more open,
as in
those 2 combined.
Yeah, how much is it so the me throwing in the Red Bull, that's just because I felt like it was silly that Red Bull wasn't in there when when you know there's new cars that we got but you can't actually use them in the modifier. But
right.
More so I mean that, like, so say in the future, because what the hell is the AGP week next week, tomorrow, gonna look like?
Yeah,
right?
Like imagine if it was only AGP. I mean, it wouldn't make sense.
I can't help but be the idiot and think that would be kind of funny. I know how people would feel about it, but I do think that would be kind of funny. But if I was to be more reasonable, yes, every 2 hours having Mainstage and then the Saturday just being HEP would be a little unfortunate. But so is your... How strongly do you feel that it's just the fact that the classes shouldn't be restricted over anything else?
So for specifically the classes, I think it's important just because the actual routes that you get you'll have a lot more different routes, because every playlist has a multitude of different routes that you can get, especially at the specific time that you're actually queuing up.
Yeah.
So not only will you not be doing the same routes over and over in the same classes, in the same cars, essentially, like the pool of cars, a small amount that we've had. If you open up the playlist pool, but like the classes themselves, then you'll be able to do more routes on Oahu. You can do more on Maui, and that would create a little bit less of the same, like, oh, we're just gonna do the same like rotation of 4 playlists or 3. You'd have like maybe 7. I mean, depends obviously
That's fair enough.
the specific modifier
So,
that is being played.
what's the route amount that breaks that threshold? What's the amount of so essentially, say they, which I don't know why they don't focus on more. Say they do have an update where they just like near double the amount of routes available for any given spec. Which they also removed routes apparently this update, which is insane to me.
Yeah, I mean they've done it all updates.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, like I don't understand why they would ever remove routes in the first place, but like say the routes are extremely improved. The number of routes is improved.
Yeah.
Is there any number of, like, having way more routes that makes a spec restriction more acceptable?
I don't believe there's a number. I think it's just the more the better.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Because, especially considering the whole thing that it's going to be the entire day of Saturday. So, yeah, I don't think there's an actual number. It's like, okay, like we have 9, but if we get 10, we're good. Like, I don't think
I guess it wouldn't be. Yeah, it's a blurry line. It's not exactly a binary. But I guess what I'm more trying to say is that I'm trying to get to the heart of the spec issue, I suppose. And if it is, limited number of routes, then more routes would probably be something to throw into the mix. But that's Grand Race wide, realistically. So, essentially, not having the main stage modifier ever be class restriction, you think would improve that system as a whole?
Or
at least
it would definitely help.
Number of classes available in it.
Yeah, it would definitely help, and then also that would open up the variety a little bit more as far as because there's certain cars that are less viable on specific routes depending on the attributes that they have. So you would essentially, depending on like if it's super technical, if it's just highways and all that, then you would see more different cars being used for specific routes, more than what you've seen for the prior one that we just did.
I think I may choose to disagree there, and I think I would angle on the side of more more routes over less specs, if that makes sense, because I think they both achieve similar things, unless it's the so how much of Grand Race is getting to use the different specs, right? And how much of it is the video game? How much of it is the different routes? Because I feel like if you could have Grand Races with, again, way more routes, like I say, I think that's where I may disagree, because I feel like that would achieve the same, or at least a similar thing as no routes, as no class restrictions. But
well, I think it works best in a combination. So it would be the actual restriction itself, like for example, like you said, like UK restriction, like a little tweak of that, maybe have it like again, it really depends on the class of cars, because certain classes don't have a lot of a specific country. So obviously I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there's probably like a specific country that only has maybe one car in a specific class, and that would be a huge problem. Yeah, so that would be a huge problem. Even though, it would be nice to have like it in rather than not. Only having one option is effectively not really adding much to the like variety that a lot of people are looking for.
Okay, so I guess that's more on the basis of each restriction taken on that one restriction's merits. So what about it as a whole? So the idea of restricting Grand Races, because like I mentioned, I would say that the restrictions is the variety. I would still probably stand on the side of the restriction and it being unique every week, just because it adds something that a player can go, oh, there's something unique this week. So, maybe we've already talked about this, but like, how do you feel on the restriction, the idea of the restriction as a whole, every week?
Well, there's two different opinions
Saturday
on that.
I guess. Minus
well, personally, me, I don't really care for it. But for the community at large, people don't really mind it,
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna mention it from what others have mentioned, because I think that's more realistic to how the community feels, especially the ones that are more hardcore.
Yeah.
They don't really mind the modifier,
Yeah.
especially because like every couple playlists you get a new modifier.
Yeah.
So you only have to deal with it for like 20 minutes. So that's like 2 races, and then like you have something else you could do. So it's not that bad. So it's not, the modifier in that aspect is not as bad, but having it again at the whole day shows just how it can really have negative effects on like people's experience playing the game, like especially for long hours.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we haven't jumped to that bit yet, so I guess we can jump to that bit. So the Saturday, running it the whole of Saturday. There was a few different arguments that I saw for the running it the whole of Saturday, and one of them was that it's fine to do it a whole day, but pick a weekday, was one of the arguments. What would you say to that one, I guess?
I don't really think it's much. I don't think it's about the specific day. I think it's more of, again, the amount of time that you're doing the same thing over and over again. It kind of goes into the way that it was worded. It said Grand Race modifiers, and a lot of people, they had the assumption that the modifiers themselves, like the night, the no collision, and the main stage, were going to be rotated, and that wasn't the case. Which is fine. And then people tried it out, and after like 3 playlists, they're like, okay, I've had enough of the main stage modifier, which we've already been doing for the past week with these specific restrictions, which made it a bit more. It makes it more of, when you get to the end of the week, you're already like tired of the main stage modifier.
Sure.
For those that play the game substantially a lot, like a lot of hours each week.
That's fair enough. I would say, now it's maybe a bit pedantic of me, maybe a bit arguing in bad faith, but I definitely would say maybe not coming to it with the best of intentions to begin with, if it really is only, now maybe you were just being hyperbolic, but if it really is only playing it 3 times and then realizing, oh, this is meh, I feel like that's not giving it a good go at it. But I suppose, you know, you're doing the filter all throughout the week as well. But when it's all throughout the week, it's one segment. What is it? Every 2 hours, right? Because it alternates with, it's on the hour is no collision, then it's on the hour is main stage. You'd know more than me. Am I right about that?
It's like every 3 playlists it switches. So like every 6, I believe, is when you'll get it back again.
Okay, so I'd say
something
that's
like that.
Already very sparse. But then again, I don't play like upwards of 8 hours of Grand Race a day. But I'd say, I think maybe what I'm arguing, but I'm a little hesitant to say it, is because it's a rough argument to bring up, is the it's not that big of a deal argument, if that makes sense. Given that, you know, if playing it only 3 times is already enough to, on the weekend, but playing it 3 times back to back is enough to write it off, I guess. But I can understand the other points that would go into that like add the extra routes, widen the restriction a little. That's an on restriction basis, but I don't know. I'd say that it might not be that much of a problem. How much of an issue is really sell to me? How much of an issue is that it's the whole day of Saturday?
Well, again, with the premise of the hardcore players playing every day, like well over a couple hours, so they're constantly like, the amount of times that they actually do the main stage modifier prior to Saturday, so from Monday to Friday, is substantially more than, let's just say, the average casual player.
Sure.
So they're playing the main stage modifier much more, and then on top of that, then they get to Saturday, and then the only modifier, the only thing that is going on is that specifically. It's very easy for someone to be very tired of it and not want to do it anymore, because again, specifically with the week that we just had, it was very little options to choose from. And again, if you chose a new car every route, you would, after a couple of playlists, you would run out of new options to try and
could I
quote unquote
rebut and
be
say,
different.
could I quickly sorry to interrupt, rebut and say I don't know if I see that argument panning out in the same, again, maybe it's a shitty way for me to put it, but in the same argument that's like, oh, if it wasn't restricted, it's not like that, it's not like you'd be switching through cars much anyway. I think I might have to use that argument again for the take of, even if you were switching in the restriction, there's not that many cars to switch through. That implies that the desire for these players who are upset about it like that is to switch through all the cars. However, I don't see that being done when there isn't a restriction.
Well, each player is different. There's a lot of
Sure.
hardcore players that don't really use meta that much, and I mean, and there's a bunch of people in the comments that shared that sentiment that, you know, they do sweat from time to time, but they also like using off meta cars.
Yeah.
Like when, you know, let's say they're not like in a lobby with like other like really fast people. So you can't, I wouldn't really say it would be fair to say that if there was no restriction, that they would just be using meta anyway, because that's not the case for everybody.
Sure, I suppose so, but then it comes to something that's, again, it's an argument that it sucks to bring up. This percentage of players that play the Grand Race so much that the every 2-hour modifier is already grown sick of by the time Saturday comes, and aren't people who, you know, are doing something else throughout the week and then finally play on Saturday and Sunday and want something unique every week. The players who are displeased with the Saturday modifier because of those reasons, at a hazard a guess on the weekly player base, what percentage that makes up? And I'm not saying that to invalidate their. I'm saying that their takes on that can be valid. But what percentage of players would you estimate that covers?
That feel that way?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's definitely not, the percentage is not a lot, but those people are putting the most hours into the game, and they're the ones that like are buying all the vanities, they're doing the summits constantly every week and everything like that. They did all the playlists, like they're keeping the game like packed. They're the ones that are in the queues. They're the reason that you're able to find lobbies much more quicker, because they're constantly racing. If those players, there would be less chance at specific times then you would have less time.
That, I reckon, because in any given 28-player lobby, there's 18 people not in first place.
It depends also the time that you play
I
at.
suppose, but I don't know. I think when saying that those are the players who spend the most time on the game, I think that's maybe an equivalent to a like the opposite of a silent majority, more of a loud minority. As I think that now I'm definitely a player. You know, I've got thousands of hours in the game already. I'd say I'm one of the people who spends very a long amount of time on this game, even if it's not in Grand Race. But I'd say that the players, if you took the players who play upwards of, give me an estimate number, like 6 hours on average every day, or like 5 hours on average every day, would that be like someone who plays the game a lot?
Yeah, every day. Yeah, that's. I mean, add that up for an entire week. That's a lot of hours. Like, it's almost a full-time job.
I'd say, despite those people being the ones who play the most on an individual basis, I think if you totaled up the entire player base of the game, I think if you took only their time versus the amount of people that don't play that often yet know less about the game, you know, sure, these people are buying vanities, but then you've got the casuals who don't know much about the game, don't have enough time to play the game, and they're buying cars. One of the most economically silly decisions you can make with crew credits, right? So I'd say that not only on that basis, but also time basis, the people who aren't playing as much on an individual basis trump astronomically the amount that are playing a lot. And although that doesn't invalidate the complaints of the lower percent, I think that maybe you know, brings down the priority of it, if that, which it sucks to say, it does, but I feel like on a percentage basis that would make sense, no?
I think you'd be surprised. I think the number of hours comparative in that scenario, you'd be surprised how close it really is.
Maybe in the crew too, but I think then I would have to, because it's obviously it's a difficult one to prove, but I think I'd have to plead on the side of, now obviously this isn't, it's probably not representative, but on the side of casual content on Motorfest performs better than day-to-day sweat-based content. Now obviously there's many factors that go into that, but it's just one of the few things that I would use to plead my case of, I do think that the casuals who don't play as much are the ones who are who take up way more of the pie enough that they're the ones to be catered to. Especially as, well, also, it's sort of the thing of dedicated players. They're dedicated players. Now, you can definitely lose a dedicated player, but to less of a rate than a casual player. So prioritizing a casual and turning casuals into dedicated players would probably be, again, more of a priority than stopping pre-dedicated players from leaving. And again, I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't suck to say, because for the dedicated players, you know, it sucks to go, keeping you matters less than making more of you. But if I was to be at a cutthroat basis, I would say keeping them matters a bit less than making more of them. What would you say to that?
Well, so on the basis of turning casual players into dedicated players,
Yeah.
and the more dedicated players currently potentially like thinning out as far as like player numbers, what is going to keep those casual players that turn into dedicated players on the game if the dedicated players now don't really see a reason to keep playing the game? And then when those casual players turn into dedicated players, they're gonna be like, well, there's nothing for me to do.
What they're coming in from is what I would say, because the current dedicated player base is there because of well, you tell me. Well, what is it that is enjoyable about, so not this grand race, what has kept you playing the game, for better or for worse?
Competition. Yeah, my own goals.
I would say the dedicated players who are coming to the game from competition, they are there for competition. But a dedicated, a casual player who's not brought in through competition, but who's brought in to becoming a dedicated player as there's something to do every week, there's something unique every week, that's a player who's... That's what would keep them sticking around, is the dedication to something new every week. It's sort of the same way the Crew 2 worked, where competition... The Crew 2 was more competition-based to begin with. But I think one of the things that's potentially a better bill is that Motorfest is just not as competitive-based as the Crew 2 was. And I would say... And again, yeah, what I would say is that... the thing that's going to keep the new dedicated players that isn't going to keep the current, or that, you know, if the current doesn't want to adjust to it, is that they're coming on from a position of, oh, I get to play this game for hours and there's new stuff all the time, instead of, I need to compete. And yeah, and that would be my rebut to your point of what's keeping the new players that, prioritizing them over the old players.
One thing I would say is when those people turn into more dedicated players, and I think it would be fair to say that they would be putting in more hours on the game throughout the week.
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
You'll really start to see the less and less content that you get to have day to day. So even though let's say the modifiers, maybe that's something that they really enjoy and all that will eventually start to be stale, right? Even though the modifiers are a new thing that was just added, when you start playing the game more and more, very quickly you start to see there's less and less for you to do. And those casual players that, yes, they do have dedication and they start playing more because they actually enjoy the game for what they play for.
Yeah.
They're gonna have less and less that they can do, and essentially the cycle will continue, and they won't be able to have the same amount of enjoyment that they used to have with the same amount of hours that they would play day to day.
But so the argument here is that the modifier would grow stale. I just as it did previously, I would say that not having the modifier, because the modifier on its own is something that that is designed to be different every week. So I don't know. I think I'd have to completely disagree on that point. Is that the modifier is oh, someone in chat said we need more modifiers. Yeah, absolutely, more variety. But like the modifier is something that changes every week. So I'd say that that's absolutely not the case. As if we had no modifiers at all, and that would grow way more stale than something that's designed to be different week to week. You can grow sick of one modifier, but simply this entire discussion saying that the few things that were wrong with that specific modifier kind of leans to and caters to the argument that it's more dependent on the modifier itself than it is on the idea of a modifier. So I think I'd completely disagree that not having a modifier would grow as stale at the same rate as a different modifier every week. And I think, I mean, simply like the summit, right? So like, say someone comes into the summit, you know, what gets people stale with the summit is when they reuse the same event too many times. But the difference of the summit every week is what has people coming back, and the rewards, and the fact that it's a different reward every week. So I don't know. I think I'd have to completely disagree with you there on that it would grow stale as quick.
What I will say is the amount of combinations, though, because the thing is with the summits, you can have a specific theme. They can change the weather and everything like that. Whereas specifically the main stage modifier, there's going to be a point where they run out of combinations, because unless they figure out a way to combine some. But even then, like, there's going to be, if you combine restrictions, there's still going to be one that's better than the other. And then essentially it's just going to be, if there was like only one of the specific modifiers. So at some point they're going to run out of combinations, because it's not like there's more classes that they're adding or new cars, or well, they could add more cars, but I mean, that wouldn't change the modifier itself. That's a separate thing.
But I'd say that's I'd say that the thing there is that that's happened to the summit, and I'd say the summit's gotten better as it goes. But you know, that's definitely happened to the summit. I mean, how many JDM weeks have we had? How many drift weeks have we had? They've come up against the same restriction in the summit, but I guess that's what the overall theme is, because even this main stage modifier, it's a main stage modifier, so it's gonna repeat now just as much as a summit theme would. So sure, they may come up against the same modifier eventually, but I wouldn't say that the modifier is something that is like a finite thing that has to be one and done. And I think having a JDM week, say next week was, and then having another one 5 months later, although I get your point, I still don't think that would make it. I still think that would counter staleness on its whole if we got a JDM week now versus JDM week in 4 months. Because although yes, things will begin to repeat, they can only repeat often enough. And say things start, say one day they decide every week the modifier is going to be JDM. That's when I would pick up the pitchfork and go, this is boring out my mind. But like, as someone who's definitely more entertainment focused on the game, when every week I can go, oh, like, I'm really looking forward to the bike week, because that's unique. Bikes are a unique player base. You know, that's what every week is. You know, Red Bull is here because Red Bull cool, and also the people who are waiting for Red Bull to be in the game, and Hoonigan because people think Hoonigan's cool, and JDM and British and whatever. All of that stuff happens because for unique themes and for people to be like, oh, finally the thing that I think is cool. You know, bikes are a big thing in this game, and it's still like a oh, bikes this next week, whoa, and then maybe it's AGP next week, which would be silly, but pretty unique, pretty interesting. And I think to maybe curve the argument, because it's a bit of a back and forth where we disagree on this one, that on the staleness and what makes it stale. But 6 days of the week being not a full main stage thing is the sake of making it unique for one day for a majority player base, not as good as the 6 other days in which it's not main stage only themed.
Well, again, you have to keep in mind the people that are playing throughout the week, and then they get to that day and it's something they've already played countless hours at this point.
Sure.
Of already.
I guess that's when it would go back to the percentage of players thing, and also the thing of, like, say some of those people can't play that. It is the players who play the game the most, which I won't act like I don't feel, because back in the crew 2, I would just play the PvP over and over and over again. But, you know, can I even say I know how that feels? Because the crew 2 would have a unique PvP for the second PvP every single day. So, I know I'm sitting here arguing with myself right now, but, like, I think
also, a point that I want to make is with the summit is different because the pool. So in summits, the things that they can pull from are the class of cars, the cars themselves, like you can do the countries, and the amount of races that they have through the playlist. The amount of options and combinations that you can have for the summits is miles more than what the Grand Race has, especially since we only have a limited amount
because of
playlists. Yes. Well, yeah, the hubs and everything like that.
Yeah.
Because there's only a select amount that we have. So that's why it can easily be more stale quicker for the Grand Races. Because, I mean, the summit, you do one and done. You're not constantly doing the summit, right? Unless, like, you're just, like, on the borderline of, like, not getting platinum.
Yeah.
If you're constantly doing the summit, like, throughout the week, it would become stale as well. But you only have to, for most players that play the game constantly, that have their parts, they have affixed sets and everything like that, they do a one and done and they get platinum without much of an issue, because obviously they've, you know, done their due diligence, they know the routes because they've already done them a million times. So if that was the same case, if you're playing the summit constantly, that would be the same effect that what a lot of people are currently feeling with the Grand Races, and eventually what the modifier will be at the end of the week for those players that constantly play. That's the dynamic there.
I see that, but what I would say is I would offload that, because we previously discussed that more routes is a net good, full stop. I would say that issue is more a more routes issue, and doesn't do enough to invalidate the need to have something unique every week. So I would instead say, if there was a way that Ivory Tower could add back the missing routes, add more and more routes, do easy stuff like invert the routes, and just make sure any route that can be done in any different spec can be done in all those different specs. I would offload that issue, not from the main stage modifier onto the routes count, but because I do think you're right about that. I do think that it would get more stale on Grand Race, and Grand Race is something you would be expected to do daily, whereas the summit is something you're expected to do weekly. It's a good point. But yeah, I think for that I would pin it on route count, not on the modifier, I suppose. And on that note, I think there's also kind of pivoting back, but the amount of people think we've loaded into a Grand Race, which is bad timing for me. But I did actually run a poll on this, which I don't know how much it may matter to the argument, but I did run a poll on the Grand Race modifier and what people thought about it, and it was overwhelmingly it's fine. The options were I loved it, it's fine, didn't like it, and hated it. And overall it landed on it's fine. So I think, although with some adjustments, which maybe I can talk about, because I think we've talked about the different issues and where we disagree as, you know, the differing of perspectives enough that I think it's worth talking about, okay, what can be done differently other than more routes. I did pose the option, because what someone said, and you mentioned at the beginning as well, choice is an issue. Goliath brings up a good point of the poll is different based on the
Yeah, I was
different
gonna bring that up.
Yeah, I suppose maybe if you can, I'd suggest you make a poll. Obviously, it's a bit late now, but
I've already done a couple on
did you
different
go-
servers.
Okay.
And
yes.
the actual results were completely different. Majority didn't like it, and if anything, there was a majority didn't like it, and some were just like, you know, they're like okay with it, like, and there was a very small amount of people that actually liked it.
I may plead, although I understand the want to go to the specific servers of Grand Race players and different types of sweats, and maybe not even Grand Race servers, but just general crew servers. Although that has its value, it truly does. I would plead numbers, I guess, is that the poll being to a wider audience of people who have said that it is fine over saying that it is not fine. Then again, I'll bring up the poll after we're at this Grand Race so I can get the actual numbers. But choice is one thing that was brought up before. Someone mentioned splitting the Grand Race. As in, like, always splitting the Grand Race between modifier, non-modifier. What would you say to that?
Even though that would be fine, I think it would just be better just to add ranked and have casual with the modifiers and ranked with none of the extra wacky stuff.
Interesting. Okay, so my argument to splitting the Grand Races is that some servers already have barely any players, etc., etc. And some servers can barely make 2 lobbies. I think America, depending on the time, and Europe, depending on the time, are the only ones that really get any traction. And, you know, splitting that much as well would already be odd. Just for player base wise. So what does ranked... So instead of rebutting that, because that's just a splitting the Grand Race thing for me, what does ranked look like to you?
So kind of going on the point of that you just said about maybe it'll be harder to find players. The system that I've said for ranked is split the lobby in half, so it's 14, 7 to start a race. So you'd essentially have more lobbies and more people be able to get into races
Is that for
much
all
more
Grand
often.
Races or just for the ranked?
For ranked. For
Okay,
ranked.
good.
Because ranked would,
Yeah.
even though there's a lot of people that want ranked would be less popular than the casual Grand Races.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to lower it so those people can still get the amount of races that they want to, and it'd be easier depending on the server that you're playing on. Ranked, I mean, it's simple, just elo system for for the actual rankings of players, so I can tell when you're going up against a player at your skill level and a player that you're not going up at your skill level, what races that you, by the algorithm, that you should be winning, and giving points according to that. Having more ranks, so instead of it just being bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, add more ranks, have like 10 or more,
Yeah.
and each rank having a vanity set, a unique exclusive, and that's the main thing, exclusive vanity set for those that do compete in a ranked season. So it incentivizes people that, let's say, aren't really competitive, but they want to get some free stuff, you know? So they might not want to go for the highest rank, but maybe they go halfway. Maybe they go to platinum. So they can still earn rewards, but they can go as far as they want to, and they're not forced to do so. They can choose to do it like only maybe a week out of like the entire season if they wanted to, just to get the rewards.
Yeah.
Or they can do it the entire season, and they can continue to do their casual grand races and have the modifiers. And both the casual players and what they look for in a weekend experience whenever they get free time, they can have that. And then the competitive players have something to work towards, because XP and money does not matter at all to people that play the game. For example, me, and I'll use myself as an example.
Yeah.
I've had max money for the longest amount of time. I'm about to be level 3000.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can earn. There's nothing else. I already have all the cards that I can get. So money and XP means nothing from a gameplay standpoint. So what is the other thing that we don't have? Exclusive rewards, because of the prestige ticket thing.
Yeah.
And it removing the exclusivity due to quote unquote FOMO,
Yeah.
which honestly, in my opinion, ruined summits even more than the whole like thing about like you can slip with people and it's not a solo experience. So that would be the upside to it, having a new gameplay experience that incentivizes people getting better at the game, a progression style as well through the ranks, and you having the option to do so and getting more rewarded for it, instead of having rewards from TC2 being recycled constantly in the summits like we've seen for the longest time.
I think you've done a lot of good there, because there's little things like, you know, can't have skill base because player base is too small, but you mentioned the elo system being based on who you're up against, which is a smart way of doing it. So more crew 2 but smarter. That's a good way of doing that. I think that the rank system as a whole is probably a decent enough thing to go for. I mean, I gotta be honest. I think ranked would, if there was a rank system like that, I probably would play and stream Grand Race a lot more, and it would probably motivate me as someone who, like I say, isn't great at the game, but probably more so top of the average players. It would incentivize me to play way more Grand Race. And I think that could split the two up enough. The smaller lobbies, I assume you would want no collision for ranked?
You would have to, because there's going to be griefers.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just, think of any other rank, like it's going to have griefers.
So no collision for ranked, but then having the main mode be what that is, you know, I think that's enough of a split, and having modifiers in the main mode, potentially enough of a split that I may even say remove, if that was the case, remove no collision from the pub mode. But maybe that's me taking it a step too far. One thing I will say is a controversial thing that you did definitely say is the a re-addition of Fomo items. Now there's many Fomo items still in the game, and I throw up a big stink when there is, you know, like the Mainstage vanities and stuff like that not coming back in the MSL. And the Jaguar Lunar Year is supposed to be the prestige ticket. It isn't. Little things, the engine sounds that still have FOMO. I think that may be not only just like a thing that way too many people wouldn't like. I think it's also something that is I guess something that I think maybe probably would never happen, just because of how many strides they've made to remove FOMO, and it really seeming like FOMO is something they want to completely leave in the past. So I think, although I would completely agree with your, or mostly agree with your idea of a rank system, I would say prestige ticket the rewards on the same timeline. Simply because I think, although I understand items like that, and there's, again, other things like FOMO is the name tags, right? They're just, people just don't really care about them enough to throw up a big stink about not getting them. But when you start getting to vanities, it takes one cool vanity for people to constantly ask, when can I get this? How can I get this? When can I get this vanity? Why can't I get it anymore? FOMO bad. I mean, I did a video on, I forget what it was, but it's one of the few things left that is FOMO, and there was comments being like, FOMO big stinky, essentially. So I'd say prestige ticket the vanity rewards, but I absolutely agree with you with like an updately, like new vanities based on a specific rank, and bearing in mind that prestige ticket doesn't mean the next update like the main stage legacy does. Prestige ticket means up to a year of early access, like 12 months of early access on an item. And if the vanities are cool enough, then I feel that may be justified. Would you?
I believe, well, my rebuttal to that is, I think, even though what the point you made, I still wouldn't want to see it in a prestige ticket thing in the shop, simply because there's nothing that the game has for those that are the people that are actually getting better at the game, the ones that are grinding super hard, and that's the incentive.
Yeah.
And that would create more people to actually try out ranked mode and actually give it a go. Like, remember, it's going to be going on the entire season. It's not like it's only a weekend and you can't get like that summit done.
Sure.
And it's vanities as well. Like, vanities don't really matter. Like, yeah, it's cool to have, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a car. It would be a different thing if it was a car that was exclusive. Then I could see the complaints being more valid.
Sure.
Especially, like you said, like it's a little bit more longer to get it those cars back through the prestige ticket shop. So
now, I'm not gonna pretend that you guys don't already deal with this, because again, me not being a great player, I deal with this. But would a system like that with FOMO involved not extremely boost the player toxicity of, I can't get this item? Oh, look, these guys can. Oh, they're using these cars. Oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're using this technique. Screw them, they're cheating. And I know you guys already get that, but would that not massively boost that, simply the FOMO aspect? Because, like, again, I would agree with you that, like, if it's season long, if it's season long, then it's like whatever. But if they know it's rewards they're never gonna be able to get, I do feel that that would really boost toxicity.
no, I wouldn't.
Do you not think so?
Well, no. I mean, we already get the cheating allegations too many times. And also, again, having no collision, so like you can't have people like griefing. So like somebody, like, you can't have people that specifically are out to make the players that are trying to get into like the, maybe not even the highest ranks, just like, let's say diamond or ruby or whatever, emerald. There's no collision, so you can avoid all of the more toxic traits that could deter people from actually trying the new ranked mode. But again, it's an option. You don't have to.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
But if you do, no matter how well you do, you're still gonna earn something as long as you play the game. Like,
Sure.
Because the thing is, the differences in ranked points that you would need leading up to like the highest ranks is gonna be a wide range. So you don't have to be the sweatiest player to get like rank 5 out of like up to rank 5 out of like 10 ranks. There's a wide variety of players that you'll come up across, and having the elo system that can tell when you're doing well in the matches and when you're not doing well in the matches, is you can still earn points. Like, even if you don't win the race, you can still win points, because the game's gonna be like, okay, this person went up against a top 100 player. It's kind of unfair, but they did really well.
System?
They would have it. It really depends on the performance. There's gonna have to be some rank down, but that's if, like, let's say if I lose to somebody that's starting out the game,
sure,
I should lose points.
Yeah.
So there's no avoiding the actual
Okay.
like down in points. It's just
Mm.
it's to further promote, because like if you're not winning the race, not everybody else should not always just lose points. It should, the game should be able to tell with the ranking when you are actually doing good and when you're not doing too good. Because remember, it's 14 players. That's a lot of people.
So, what I would say is now I'm completely aware of what this is, what I'm about to say, because you argued on the side of what I would see as a not a high percentage of the overall player base section of the player base. So what I would say is that I'm aware that what I'm about to do is argue on the side of a section of the players that isn't a majority at all. But I did still acknowledge the unfortunateness and have things to say, and still do argue on the side of the sweats, even if I feel they're a minority. So, what would you say to the players, which I feel there is a fair few of them? Hang on, there's a text-to-speech going on. I can't think while it's going on. There we go. What would you say to the section of the audience that are collectors, but aren't great at the game? Because I feel like those are the ones who are harmed by FOMO, and that's exactly who stuff like the Prestige Ticket Store is made to aid. So, yeah, collectors who maybe not even great on the game. I mean, maybe they're even in the second best section. Maybe they're even in, like, the second top rank. But if they're a collector, that's going to harm them and their experience on the game. So what would you say to those types of players?
Well, there is no clear-cut answer for that.
Sure.
Because again, that kind of goes down to the reason that they're playing the game. And the reason they're playing the game is totally different from not only the competitive players but also the casual players. So, but I guess kind of going to the way you looked at it for some of the other points. What percentage would you say of players are those collectors compared to maybe the casuals?
When you say vanity, I think it definitely lowers that amount. But
as cards, I think is more like people seek that more.
Yeah. It depends on the vanity itself, but I'd say not as many as maybe sweats, but still a large amount of anyone who's dedicated but not PvP, like me or my types of players, right? I've got thousands of hours, but not a lot of them are in Grand Race. They're playing the Summit or the Mainstage Legacy or collecting the cars, etc., etc. But that's what I would say. That and I think maybe we agree to disagree on the FOMO, I suppose, because I don't know if I can be on the side of FOMO just for the sake of overall player base, but I do love all the other ideas for a ranked. All I say is that a year later, put those items in the Prestige Ticket Store. Is all I would argue. But I have something outrageous to claim. And this is a complete topic change. Also, thank you Doomslayer for the 12 euros he mentioned, and this is why I'm going to go on this tangent.
Okay.
Also, thank you Zakir for the £2. Like, yeah, all right, very funny Zakir. But his comment was, I genuinely hate not being able to just enjoy the cars I want to drive in GRs without 24 meta cars around me. Okay, so I would say, and again, this is a thing of, you know, in a 28 player grand race, there's 18 who aren't top 10. The need to use meta sucks big time, and I think it sucks big time. I understand the argument of I'm a sweat, I obviously want to use the best car to win. I think where I bring the personal into it is, God, I miss the Crew 2. Not because of the Crew 2's system, but I miss that I could have used any given Summit car and still had a fighting chance. I could have used a Megane RS and still had a fighting chance in the Crew 2's PvP. There was just a different way the physics worked. Where, and you know, people hate the Crew 2 physics, and I say people are not as justified when they hate the Crew 2 physics. But the Crew 2 physics, I could have a fighting, like this biggest of sweats, could have a fighting chance in a beetle. Now, maybe they still would in Motorfest, but I would say undeniably, nowhere near as easily. Same would go for any kind of being on a level playing field and the need to use meta. That's what I enjoyed Crew 2's PvP for so much, is that I could use any of the given Summit cars per thing. I would go into the second playlist rather than the first so that I could use different specs, not just Street and Hyper, and use the different types of cars. So for that, I once proposed an idea where cars should have cooldowns. Where I believe, now this is in a world where there's no competitive Grand Race lobby, right? Say it's not possible, say whatever, they've said we're never going to do it. In a world where there's no competitive lobby, I think that cars should have a cooldown system. Where once you use a car, it now cannot be used in the next 3 Grand Races. Or maybe next 5 if I'm being outrageous, but we'll settle at 3. And I'm well aware that that just means people are gonna use, then instead of using the best car, they'll use the best, then the second best, then the third best, then the fourth best. I'm aware of that. But by then it's switched to the other, by then it's switched to the next thing. I think that would at least add some kind of variety at a base level, have players actually want to, you know, it would have players actually need to use variety, get good at other cars. You know, with Grand Race definitely not being a competitive system on the face of it, with no rank, with no elo, etc., etc. I think that might be something that I know is an outrageous request for the sweat community. So what would you think on that?
So there's a couple of different things to unpack. Yeah. First thing is, I think, and I've seen this a million times, I think a lot of people are putting, outside of a couple classes like Street 1, Hyper, a lot of people are putting a little bit too much stock into the whole meta conversation. Sure. Because in other classes, like I said, outside of a couple classes that definitely are very top heavy, like with a specific car,
drift for sure,
you can do perfectly fine in non-meta cars. There's a lot of things that you need to be mindful of and be consistent at in grand races that a lot of people don't do. And I've seen it a million times. I've gotten questions about it on a bunch of videos, other platforms and everything like that, that a lot of people are not taking into account, whether that's gutterings, using slipstream efficiently, mistakes. I made a whole video about it, like the amount of different things that sweats are mindful of when racing, and a lot of people don't do those. And they put all their stock and their chips into the meta, which is not the case at all, because you can very easily see sweats use non-meta cars, whether if it's in an average grand race or in a lobby full of actually good people that play the game constantly. You will see they can still, again, outside of the classes that like are very, you know, there's outliers. They can do fine in non-meta. So that's one thing. The cooldown thing, honestly, I'm not a fan of the idea of it. Sure. It basically, again, is, and it kind of goes down to having the option to choose what you want to use, which everybody, you see a bunch of people saying, a lot of the casual audience is like, we want to use the cars we want to use. We don't want to have to care about meta. Well, with the Mainstage modifier, with the idea you just presented, by definition, they wouldn't be able to use what they want when they want. So just from like a face value,
Hmm.
they wouldn't be able to do what they are pleading and wanting to do.
I would, in that case, argue that it lets them do that still. The amount of players that then aren't able to use specifically the meta, that would allow the players who, yes, have, not as many, want to use the cars they want to use. I think it allows them to more than it stops them from. Because mid-range cars, stuff like that, or lower-end cars, those cars are at the moment, for the wider audience, fully unusable. But sure, if they want to use one specific car that's mid-range to low-range, they won't be able to use that one in every single one, but they'll be able to use it still that many times more than if the lobby was still filled with meta completely everywhere. So I think it still does more good than it does bad.
Yeah, I would just disagree completely with that.
Okay, that's fair enough. But do you think there is any way to meta? What's your take on it as a whole?
No.
Yeah.
There's a million examples
Yeah.
of how to get rid of meta, and a bunch of different games I've played have all maybe tried to have some form of implementation of it. The only way, it was like, there's two specific ways that are viable to doing this. It's either whitelist cars, so basically you can only use this car, so everybody's using the same car.
Thank you.
That's the only way you can get rid of meta.
Sub for 5 months.
Because if not, if you allow variety, there's going to be one that's better than the other. That's just how it goes. Or you do Trackmania's route, and the car, well, not really Trackmania, but that's kind of the way I look at it, is cars have like a similar performance. They're all the same. And that's not good, because then where's the variety in that?
Yeah, I will say I'm definitely not. I will say one thing I am very aware of is I do know something has to be meta, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, because that's an argument that something's always gonna be meta. I do know that fact. Just to point it out for the segment. I know you didn't say that, but I know something always has to be meta. It's more so it's the crew to it. I use this argument when it comes to money methods. They keep patching money methods, and my take is often Ivory Tower. Something has to be a good money method. So if you're just gonna keep patching it, what's the point of it? But I think it definitely would be the crew to in me that is like, I just wish other cars were viable, right? And I can't lie, I will say it's a lobby of just casuals, right? Which I would say is the more common lobby. But obviously, I mean, probably every lobby's gonna have someone really good in it. But I've won in grand races before, so I don't think every lobby's always got someone the best of the best in there. In lobbies like that, which I would argue is the majority of lobbies, it is meta that makes the difference over, just simply because that's the more widespread thing than the guttering, than the other things. And I suppose that's what you and other creators do, is bringing guttering and stuff like that to the eyes of the casuals. But what would you say to the fact that the meta is still the... Would you agree that meta's still the... I guess you would, because we literally talk about this. That meta's still one of the biggest factors in the casual space?
No, because even though that's all they see, like, for example, I posted a race the other day, and there was a couple of comments saying, how did you lose that race? You, did it perfectly. And just because you don't see the reasons does not mean that the reasons are not still in play. Meta is not the main reason why they're struggling. It's the mistakes that they're making throughout a race, and the more mistakes they make, the more NOS they have to use, and the more NOS they use means that they'll have a harder time staying in slipstream, and depending on their car down the line, then yes, in the route that they people don't pay attention to routes. I mean, there's so many other things that are way before meta. even though the more casual player might just see, oh, this person's in the F40, that's the reason I lost. That's not the case. Just because they see that, and that's the most immediate thing that is first thing that they notice, does not mean that is the case.
I would want to agree, but I think the more you go down the ladder, I think that argument may fall apart because of just how bad the bottom 90% of cars are. Because when you average, because mistake making and the other things being the mistakes is well and good, but when that averages out, as in the players who do make mistakes, the players who don't make mistakes on average, you know, coming up against different people in Grand Race, I think once the mistake making and not mistake making averages out, the thing is, someone could make. There's obviously there's a curve to it, but like put a meh player and put someone really good, but put them in the worst car in the spec, right? Against a mediocre player versus a really good player who is gonna hit all the gutters, all the whatevers. Do you believe that a mediocre player in the best car, now obviously this is an extreme example, I will tone down the example later, but a mediocre player in the best car, I think, has an extreme advantage over the meh player in the worst car in the spec. Or sorry, the best player in the worst car in the spec.
No.
You believe that the best player in the worst car in the spec would still beat a mediocre player in the best car in the spec?
100%. The driving matters. The car doesn't drive itself, you know?
Interesting. Okay.
There's levels to the game.
Sure.
When you're starting off, like, you're just trying to stay on the road. The Met player at that point has kind of got an idea of how to stay on the road. They don't know all the shortcuts. But they kind of know what to try to avoid. You know, they've already had, you know, trials and tribulations on certain routes. Maybe they recognize, oh, like, you know, I remember doing this route. I tried to take this cut. It didn't work. I'm just going to stay on the road because I think I can actually survive. Those things the mediocre player has no recognition of.
Yes.
Right? Because they're just trying to stay on the road. So them being more mindful of that, and again, having more game time to the point where they are not a mediocre player, they're more of a meh player, that is more valuable than the car itself.
Okay. I have two things to that. One thing is a bigger thing. But the first thing that I have is, then why do the best of the best players still use meta?
I can give you the example why I do it. I can't speak for everyone else.
Sure.
The reason why I do is because, well, A, there's a pace that I'm trying to uphold. Like, I'm trying to improve, and that might sound crazy to a lot of people in the chat. There's still more pace that I can gain. There's more consistency that I can have. So and the reason why I get on and compete as much as I can against very fast players, everybody in chat, everything like that, is because I'm trying to improve.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take all the things that I'm learning from all these different racing games and apply it and be very consistent with that. And the cars themselves, and the more better you come out of a player, you'll be able to take advantage of cars' strengths. And for example, the meta, you can do the highest things possible that the game allows you to do. And you could do that to a T, especially if you obviously have the skill behind it. And another reason is I like going fast. Again, I'm talking about it from the perspective of me. I can't speak for everyone else.
Sure.
I like going fast. And that's where I find my enjoyment. And I strive to do very difficult things very consistently. And a lot of cars are very, like, for example, cars other than like the Agera, a lot of them begin to understeer at very high speeds.
Yeah.
Whereas the Agera, if you can, like, if you use all the road and you get your steering right, you can take it full speed, and not a lot of other cars can do that.
Yes.
And that is some of the reasons why I choose to use meta. And again, it's just because of goals that I have
Sure.
to continue to be faster, be more consistent, and go up against other players that are striving for those things, and seeing whoever makes less mistakes, because that's really what the racing is about. Whoever makes these mistakes is going to actually win. It's not whoever is the fastest.
Now,
in most cases.
What I would say to that is, and I will get onto the bigger thing because it's a fun thing in my opinion. But what I would say to that is that if meta doesn't matter to that amount, and it is just getting that extra sliver on top of it, rather than it being the best of the best that you can get, what I would say to that is, then now you mentioned that you can only speak for yourself, but I think all of this stream so far we've been talking on behalf of the community we represent, with the knowledge that obviously there's outliers in either side of our general representation of these different sides. But what I would say is, if you were to speak on more people, if that's the case, then why, when I pose an idea that would simply take 1 car spam to 3 car spam, why is that such a strongly negatively received thing? When look, I understand the wanting to use the car you want to use, but I think that's the, we're not talking personal preference here. We're talking like they want to use only the best car, not like, it's not that they're personally big fans of the 110, but they want to use it until it's not the best car anymore. So why is me simply saying use the top 3 over use the top 1 so negatively received if it's not about the meta?
Well, it comes down to choice. Not specific, again, not with the, it's not really about the cars, because again, we're for right now, we're going to come across the main stage modifier at some point.
Yeah.
It's not really about the cars, it's just, you have no choice to, like Saturday, you have no choice, for example, to choose what you want, really. Like, I mean, yeah, you can choose like the cars that you want in specific restrictions, but again, the whole thing about it being monotonous after some point of doing the playlist over and over and over again, like you're gonna be like, okay, I just want to use what I want to use, and then guess what? That entire day, obviously, it's a extreme case because that's like an entire 24 hours that you can't do anything about it. We have no option, and that is why having more systems in place that promote that is bad, because the player has no choice. There's no other PvP. It's not like you can be like, okay, I don't really want to do this modifier, but you know, I'll just go do something else. Like, what else is there? There's like the Grand Race player isn't going to do playlists unless like there's motocross, which a lot of people do, and those in chat know exactly what I'm talking about. But if there is no other choice, there's no other multiplayer option. It's either that or nothing.
But if say tomorrow they announce, now I know that it's a difficult question that I'm about to ask, because it's kind of it's a bit vague and a bit presumptuous. But say tomorrow they removed guttering, right? They in some way, somehow they meddle with the physics. Guttering is gone, right? So now, at least to a degree, the casual players who had no idea about it, or the general audience and the people who can't do it as well, they are at least a little bit closer to, and I wouldn't even say a little bit, because you've expressed that guttering is one of the biggest things, amongst one of the biggest things that the casual audience doesn't know is actually more important than meta. I think if tomorrow guttering was removed as a feature, people would be way less outraged than they are to my 3 specs idea. And I think that speaks to the sweats caring more about, now I say the sweats, it always feels like I'm talking about like a slur, but no, I mean just like the better players would be more, care more about meta than about the... Now I know that emotionally, maybe the cars, emotionally they're more enraged, but I feel like if guttering was gone, there wouldn't be as much emotion as when I say use 3 different cars. And that
Well, I mean, so one thing about it is, for example, the Maui map.
Yeah.
There is way less gutters than there are in Oahu.
Yeah.
So we're already experiencing that.
Yeah.
Like the most that you have is like reverse gutters on like the city sections on Maui. But we already have that. So it's just coming down to adapting, which obviously people have been able to do with the whole wheel mode thing. People thinking that once wheel mode was added via direct mode, that a lot of people were going to have an easier time, which was not the case. When the clutch got added, people thought they were going to have an easier time. Was not the case. It just comes down to people adapting, and people will be able to adapt no matter what, especially if they're eager to. If they don't really care, then I mean,
so
it's their choice.
Too much to ask for to have players adapt to using the top 3 over the top 1 when meta isn't the reason? And of course, I am asking you to speak generally, as we have been with this whole discussion. Why is it too much to ask for to adapt to the top 3 cars rather than just the top 1, so that other people are able to use the top anything? Why is that adapting not so much more difficult than adapting to no more gutters?
Well, the thing is, and the whole reason that this, I feel like, is really any like debate is the car balancing itself. If the car balancing was much better, then you wouldn't really have this conversation. Like, it wouldn't be needed.
But I think
again,
that speaks to the meta mattering aspect, which you were on the opposite side of.
Well, like I said, there's outliers, like I said, like in Hyper and Street Tier 1 and Drift, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But in those Street Tier 2 classes, the meta, I mean, there's a lot of different cars you can use and get similar pace, especially if you know how to take advantage of it. So, again, the meta and the like you said, the meta matters somewhat more or the point that you were trying to make is that meta means a little bit more when there's like players that are not as good as the average Grand Race player.
Yeah.
So I just, it's the main thing is having the choice, and if you don't have the choice, like some people are just generally just not gonna play. I mean, you saw it, like, there's a bunch of people on Saturday that just chose not to play.
And I think
just because
we'll
of
find out from Ivory Tower whether that hit to the player numbers was enough to justify. I think that's something we couldn't speak to.
Yeah, maybe.
But, and we probably won't hear it audibly. We'll probably just, they'll just adjust it without telling us. But I think I would say that the whole thing is yes, sure. I can concede that top 3... a cooldown would reduce some choice for some players. It would also add some choice to the majority of players, is where I think we may disagree on that, is where I think that adding the choice to the majority of players is, in that situation, worth doing when, again, it's something that can just be adapted to, like many other things. But, unless you want to quickly put a last note on that, because I have the bigger thing.
No, I'm pretty satisfied with that.
So, I mentioned a mediocre player in
a meth player.
A meth player in the best of the best cars.
Yeah.
And the best player in the worst car. Now, I don't mean middle of the road. I mean worst, because that's the, I chose to use an extreme example and suggested maybe lowering the extremity of that example, yet you still said that specific example wouldn't be the case. So I pose, for the next Grand Race, I use, with pro settings, the meta vehicle, and not even pro settings, I just use 10-10-0-0, that's all I use, but I'll use your suggested, the meta vehicle.
Okay.
And then via chat suggested, you utilize, as in, or just once agreed, the worst, because the best and the worst is what the example was. You use the worst vehicle. Now this isn't. I'm not here to go. I got you. It's a fun thing that I want to do to see whose word on this one is what. Next 3 ground races or so, you use the worst. I'll use the best. Would you be up for that?
I'll be up for it, but do keep in mind, I don't understand the person that would actually use the worst on purpose. That's kind of a very extreme example. No one goes out of their way to use the worst unless like they want to do it for a video or something like that.
But it's
so
because,
that's not very representative of what the average player would do and what they're striving to do. So it even though it might hold some quote-unquote validity in some way, especially if we have like racing and I have to use the Olin Hot, which a lot of people will definitely say.
Yeah.
That car does not belong in racing. It has street tier 1 performance in racing.
Yeah.
So
sure,
it's
but I think
not
it's...
representative of what actually people are playing the game and trying to do. People want to use a GTI. People want to use like all these other cars. No one's going out of their way to like use the Ultimate Hot unless they like just want to use it for one race. Like it's a very, very extreme example.
Sure, but that's
again, like the cars themselves, the best to the worst. That's not the conversation and what we're arguing for. We're talking about the cars that people generally want to use. Maybe the RX-7. Maybe
I would say that I'm doing it only in the sake of argument then, because I did open the floor to be like, you know, I can reduce the extreme of the example, but it's that example that you rebutted. You know, it was that extreme example when I said that, like, if I had to take it to the extreme, does meta matter? And you did say that even it wouldn't matter. That's my basis on doing this, and it's about to switch over, so I guess we'll start preparing our classes.
Yeah, I'll still do it, but
yeah,
you know.
And then for that case, oh, that's quite the selection. Okay. Worst in what's the best in motocross?
Just YZ450F.
Okay. What a strange selection to have to do this in. Monster. We may try it again in the next ones, but for now we'll do it in this one. It's more to your point, I suppose. I would say that different specs having different that hyper street drift. Those are the ones that are stronger on the meta. So what is it? Motocross, Monster, Rally? Okay, so the best was for motocross.
Yamaha YZ450F.
Yamaha YZ450. Oh, why am I putting parts on it? What am I doing? What are the most like casual pro settings? Because I've never pro setting bikes.
Just on bikes, just make sure the brake balance is to the rear, and that's all you touch. Honestly. Got
it. Brake balance to the rear. There we go. Okay, YZ450, best in...
Monster.
Monster. What is the best in Monster?
Silverado 1500.
Silverado 1500. What is the worst in both of those?
The worst? It's a great question. Honestly, I'm not going to decide. I'll let chat decide.
Okay, chat. Well, what is the worst monster truck rally? What about rally? Presumably rally you might know more about?
Rally... What you want the best?
The worst first. I'm not on rally yet.
The worst? It probably is ice cream truck.
Okay, so the ice cream truck in rally, and the best is probably what, the Peugeot.
Peugeot, or use the new Puma as well. New Puma's alright. I would,
okay.
but
I'm not.
I would definitely say the Peugeot. I would put an edge on that one.
Got it. Ice Hunter worst Suzuki for motocross is what's being said. Suzuki for motocross. The DeLorean's bad. The Hummer is so ass. Also, apparently the next restriction, so we might go back to some regular ones and then wait till the next restriction, is racing rally AGP. So we'll do it in that one as well. Okay, Peugeot. And then I just do the bottoms, one bottomed out and one's above topped out pro settings. There we go. maybe it's I won't ask you to take off your pro settings. Maybe I'd say maybe that's probably a step too far. That you keep your pro settings on them, but especially because I have some very base level pro settings on it anyway. And give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Alright, chat. While Sid gets back, what cars do you guys want me to use? If you guys can still hear me, just let me know. Motocross. What do you guys want? Suzuki.
All right, 3 or so grand race. Have you got them ready?
I'm just grabbing the cars that chat wants me to get. Sorry, I got the Suzuki, chat. What's next for Monster?
Yeah, V worst in Monster Truck chat. Seen DeLorean a decent amount. Let me chuck it to the crew server just in case. Let me see what they say. This is just some extra input.
Got a couple Hummers, couple buses, bus. Okay, all right. So Suzuki for motocross, Monster bus. What do you guys want me to use for the rally?
I would assume Chenko, I guess, but bus is good actually. Is it? Actually, let me. Oh God.
I'll use the Hummer then, chat. I'll use the Hummer for Monster. Just so someone's like, no, that car is kind of good.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Ice cream.
So ice cream.
Ice Hunter. I'm saying ice cream and Ice Hunter.
Ice Hunter makes the most sense.
Ice Hunter. Ice Hunter. Okay, chat. So we got, just to confirm, Suzuki, Hummer, and Monster, and then Ice Hunter.
Yep. And then I'm in the Yamaha, the Silverado, and the Peugeot. So here we go, chat. Now I am talking about like worst in like overall. I'm talking to chat. I'm talking worst in overall. So like not one, because there is the cruise balancing is really blatant often. It's like bad handling, okay, good speed, bad for a fair few of the cars, like good handling, bad top speed, etc., etc. I'm talking some of the cars that are like bottom of the barrel, but of course they're not all going to be bottom of the barrel. Alexa, stop playing music. I'm gonna also just play music. Challenger for rally, really? Sauces? I mean, we've got the Chenko locked in, and I can't see a reason that Chenko would be amazing. Ice Hunter not bad with a tune. I've just never seen anybody try use it.
I don't see the Ice Hunter. I see the ice cream truck though. I don't see the Ice Hunter. I think that's in Rally Raid.
The Ice Hunter.
Oh wait, Ice Hunter.
The Chenko.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The ice cream truck is called the Ice Hunter. Okay. That's why.
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah.
I was looking for that. I was like, I see the ice cream truck, and I was like, oh no, the ice cream truck is called Ice Hunter. Okay. All right. Got my car's chat.
We got 4 different answers. I mean, we can go for another one and alternate the cars. It's whatever. It's whatever. So no one knows. Yeah, I guess people don't really track the worst car in specs. So. What a lineup, chat. Also, is the next one... So someone said next one was racing rally AGP chat. Is it the modifier racing rally AGP? Oh, that's a good start for you. Chat, Josh has arrived at my house mid-sweating. It's not even 6 yet. You're gonna have to give me a minute. Also, chat, how long left on the, what's the time left on the rotation change? Because I see you guys aren't a fan of this specific playlist rotation. This is the worst GR playlist? What brilliant timing, chat. What brilliant timing.
Well, I just got in a reset loop. That's awesome.
Reset loop? Oh.
Yeah, the car did not have enough speed to make it to the jump, and I reset, and it just kept putting me on the edge of the ramp. And
you've got half the grand race to pick up, I guess, as much as you can. I did see it happen. It was very unfortunate. Hang on, chat. I looked down and I could just see Josh on my Ring doorbell still standing outside. When I said you're gonna have to give me a minute, I meant like I'm currently live and in a grand race. Also, I swear the movie's at like 6:40. Oh, hang on, I've got it muted. I swear the movie's at like 6:40. Okay, yeah, but why did you drive all the way here in the first place? Oh, I guess that makes sense. Chat. Well, we're gonna have Josh on stream for the. It'll be special guest Josh Lear, chat. back to focusing.
Chill.
Okay, you guys are lucky. You got Simji and Josh L. 2 guest stars. Oh wait, chat, did anyone have an answer on if the next one is just regular racing, rally, and AGP, or is it main stage modifier, racing, rally, AGP? Where did you end up getting to?
I'm 17.
We can definitely run that one again, I guess. We can run one more on this and then wait till the switch over. But the switch over is main stage, which is again a double unfortunate timing. But I guess it wouldn't be as best and worst, but it would still be best versus worst, I guess, if we did. Give me a minute. Let me go open my door. Well, chat, say hello to guest star Josh.
I've come all the way here just for the stream.
That's what it is, chat. He's just gonna sit here on the stream for basically until we end the stream in not too soon, but soon enough, I guess. Same cars, I guess. I guess chat have said some cars are maybe also slightly contesting for worst. So, what was it? Someone said Challenger. So I guess Charger 19 season. Okay, so Rally, I guess Charger. Monster. I guess still the Hummer. I can't see the Hummer being anything. Hop one.
So you want me to switch to the 1969 Rally Edition Charger?
Yeah, why not? Hub 1 monster. You know what? For the sake of changing, yeah, sure, I guess switch to the Hub 1 in monster. So, Charger and Rally, Hub 1 in monster.
Got it.
So challenges can sit when in meta, basically, Madman. Oh, what were your thoughts on the Ice Hunter then?
Well, it slow shifts probably worse in the class, and it has a low top speed, so even if I was in slipstream, people just pull away.
Speaking of top speed, one thing that me and you, I think, can absolutely 100% agree on, I would say remove every highway route. There should not be a single R2 simulator route.
Yeah, I mean, it just isn't fun after a little bit. Like, it's cool now and again, like, but we have too many of them. If they want to have like one or two, that's fine. But
and I would say that's probably where the whole meta issue, if it was even to be an issue, straight line speed is where it would be probably the most predominant. Yo, hello. Who's using the motor fast all around me? I took that completely wrong. got swiped out. Five-second penalty for Archon. Chat, Archon's a YouTuber now. Fun fact. That's right, chat. I have the same job as Archon. Chat, how long left on the rotation? There we go. We'll run them normally until the next rotation. But I'm curious. So, having now ran the perceived worst of the worst, would you say that using them made a noticeable difference? Because although there was the loop that happened because of the mess up on the first race. So, but overall through that, I would say I didn't notice you holding first specifically as much as oh wait, it's already in the new thing. Okay, as much as you were previously. I guess I'll ask that more when chat. What's the worst British for all of the? Okay, let's back out of this actually first. Let's figure this out first.
Okay.
All right, chat. What's the worst British in all of these? Regular mini? Huh. What is it? Racing, rally, and AGP. And
Asking for the meta?
I guess the meta would be what? RB14.
Yeah. T50S for AC.
Yeah, Countryman for.
Yeah, Countryman.
Got it. Countryman, T50, and I think those are all pro setting anyway. Worst of the worst in racing for British chat. There you go. Here's your selection.
For racing, it's the T50S.
Not the best, for the worst. The Senna GTR? The Senna GTR is really the worst in British racing? You're telling me the Crew Motorfest have made the Senna GTR worse than a Mini Cooper S, chat? That's what you're saying? Senna GTR is abysmal at times? I'm talking all the time, chat. The Sausage Mobile and AGP, what, the tractor? Mini Tractor Mini? Or what, Cooper, Tractor, and then Base Mini? I know I'm going purely on vibes, but I'd have to say I'd probably go for the Cooper S in racing over the Senna for the worst. And then, I can't chat. Are you sure it's the tractor, or are you just going based on vibes there? You tell me none of these Red Bull ones are worse than the tractor? Senna doesn't turn. The Yassid has good acceleration? Exactly. I'm talking the worst of the worst, chat. Is it, are you... What tractor? The tractor in, The tractor in... AGP.
What cars am I using?
We'll go Mini Cooper S. And I guess chat's saying the tractor, but I don't know if I trust that. And then the Mini Cooper again. Base Mini Cooper.
Basement. Oh wait.
In Rally. Oh yeah, but
So okay.
Are you am I happy I'm playing my favorite playlist in the game? I wouldn't say this is my favorite playlist. I like we discussed throughout the rest of this stream is I appreciate the variety it provides and finally getting to use different cars, and it connects something I've wanted is it connects the PvP to what the theme of the rest of the game is. In fact, one of the points that I started my video with was I wish it committed a bit more in like changing the color scheme, putting assets around, that kind of stuff. So although I definitely wouldn't say it's my favorite, I do like the idea of this. Yasser design has very powerful and has constant wheel spin. Chat, I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it.
Okay, so base mini for both, and then tractor.
Yeah.
Got it.
Tractor, is it decent or is it bad? Oh wait, did I go with the wrong mini in Rally? Oh right, I did.
You had to go to that countryman.
Yeah. Yes, I see, chat. I see. It's not the worst. It's not bad, but out of the selection, it's the worst. Okay, all right. All right. I'm not gonna dwell on the semantics of it. There we go. this guy's problem? Brother! If we slip, we both stay up here, you buffoon! Visitor of yesterday name tag? Oh, simply just bad player, never mind. What am I doing, Jay? You don't even have the Simji color on that thing.
Nope.
Oh, come on! I'm such an idiot. Okay, well, that's the toss for me. I'd say we can run some normal ones. Then I guess it depends on what the next restriction is, but I can't go much later than like 6 anyway. But clearly, meta, or the use of meta, isn't as strong as just the mediocre versus best player, I suppose. Now, again, naturally dependent on the specs and what the specs are in it, etc., etc. But where I would go with that is 1, obviously, fair, and 2 is what was I gonna go with? Is the whole that like having to use meta shouldn't matter too much then, I suppose. But no, I'd say you prove that. Time to use bike.
Yeah.
Well, would you go one more time on this one now that it's a more normal set of restrictions since we started the wager?
On right now?
Yeah, Hyper Street 2 AGP.
What do you want to do?
Chat, what are the ones in Hyper Street 2 AGP?
Yeah, let me back out because there's no way I'm gonna be able to check the cars.
Oh, I'm in photo mode. There we go. And I would say it was most close, me and you, in the restricted one, I would say. Proto Flashback is abysmal. KS Mass Leader. KS Mass Leader, you can get respawned in that, can you? Or can't you? I don't wanna put him in the KS Mass Leader if you can get respawned in it. Can you get respawned in Grand Race with KS Mass Leader, chat? You can? Okay, then second worst. Because I don't want to put him in a car that he can just get ram spammed, respawned in. Alfieri against like Alfieri or like Proto Flashback, those two I could see being bad. Alfieri I feel like that one's been bad. If you had to hazard a direction, which ones would you say are more likely to be worse?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know what the Alfieri is.
No, it's a Maserati. It's the goofy looking Maserati, the one that looks like a strange sedan.
Oh, I just like a concept. Okay, I mean, like I said, up to chat. I'm not gonna.
Alright,
I want you.
We'll go Alfieri, I suppose, chat. Alfieri, and then Street Tier 2.
Honestly, you're probably gonna see a bike in Street Tier 2.
That's the thing that I don't know if I, because bikes are that bad. As much as I did say that the wager was to prove the audacity on the statement of like the extremes, are bikes even past that too extreme, chat? Because bikes are bad. $3,000 GT. What for Street Tier 2? I think the worst hypercar is the Lambo Electric. Yeah, why don't people track these things, huh? Do I have every car? Yes. Probably one of the SUVs, right, chat? Because they've got all that goddamn weight on them. Then again, they're technically sports cars. 300C? What is a 300C?
That's a Chrysler.
Oh, is it the Chrysler? SUVs are fast? 300C maybe. I mean, I used that Crown edition, chat, and that thing was horrible. They posted a This Week article? Yeah, I'll look at that later. The Atom? Oh, some of those things are really... Like the KTM Expo, that thing's horrible. The fastest SUV. Eldorado. Eldorado isn't in Street Tier 2. Surely one of the old Dodges. A lot of those aren't in Street Tier 2. What about the Atom? Oh, by the way, chat, figured out what this weird new open world mooded theme is. It's just someone must have snuck the Red Bull update into last update. Because this is the theme that's on the Red Bull updates. You actually try turning in the Hellcat? I mean, you can, like, decently slide the Hellcat. Maybe that's just me, though. The IVT Falcon. There is a lot of cars that would probably be the worst. The IVT Falcon is probably a decent enough shout that I'll be like, yeah, it probably is. Because I don't think I've ever seen someone genuinely use the IVT Falcon. And then, okay, so what's the bottom of the barrel in AGP, chat? Probably this thing, right? Right?
Well, they said it, the tractor.
That was for that restriction, the British restriction. Oh, Expo good? Oh, is the tractor really the overall worst, chat? Surely it's one of the, maybe one of the spears or whatever?
Tractor is definitely the most ugly one.
Exactly. If we're going on that, chat. What's the meta looks-wise? Well, are we still doing this? Going for what? Because we finally had a basic restriction. But it'll be the last one we're doing. RB13 is okay. You know what? What's it even proving? It's purely, it's not like an extreme, but it's just because when I mentioned that the extremes of best person in non-meta versus mediocre in meta, and that comparison. Creative Brewmaster is the lowest top speed. I've felt the Brewmaster hold up pretty well, but you know what? I'll chuck you in the Brewmaster. So, Alfieri, IVT Falcon, Brewmaster.
Got it.
The Summit Alpha car is the best. That thing absolutely is coming back at some point in this update, chat. What's my top 5 cars? Ow.
Alright, let's see. Maserati.
Oh, wait, what am I going with then, I guess?
Agera.
I might go gentle, the edgy, and hyper. Off starts,
Okay.
I'm terrible in the Agera.
Okay. Let me choose my card before I
Yeah,
forget. Street 2, you can choose like the Supra, the new one, or like F40 or something like that.
Oh, what, the GR?
Yeah, the new one. IBT Falcon, and then the ugly. Where is it? There it is.
I'm gonna assume I have pro settings on it. I doubt I wouldn't. And then AGP, I get, yeah, the RB14.
RB14.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is Metro is good. Go Agera. I'll go with the Agera. I mean, especially given we can't get a genuine guess on the worst of the worst cars. I going extreme on the best of the best. I mean, yeah, fair enough. How do I have so much money? It's so easy to get money in this game. It is so easy.
This car sounds like a lawnmower that has something stuck in it.
The Alfieri is... What a strange car.
Okay, dude.
Black Panther color gender the achieved SidWaj livery noble chat. Give you fellas. Oh, ciao chick hicks. I get round. Why is mine EV, chat? Chat, this is the way the Supra was intended to be used. IVT Falcon jump there. Very interesting way to take those.
Yeah, this car doesn't gutter.
That's fair enough. I would say that is absolutely fair enough. I'm happy to concede that meta is not as big of a thing as simply being the better player. And if people were just better players, they'd know how to use the meta vehicles better and worse than it being meta specifically that actually matters. I think that was proven. What I would only point to, and that's after the fact, I wouldn't say that it at all negates what happened there. What I would say is that those races were absolutely probably the closest me and you have been in finishing, I suppose. But that's more an arbitrary after-the-fact thing. I think meta still definitely had an effect on whether I was keeping up with you as much as I would have using the... See, what I normally do is I only use meta on the first, and then I'll use whatever else. But yeah, that's where I would say. Why isn't he using bikes in Street Fighter 2? Because those... too bad. But yeah, I think that's what that showed, is that although I was able to keep up closer to you, if you're the better player, you're the better player, I suppose. And it's how much of a better player are you? How would you think it would have gone if, and I know this is just a whatever, but say someone same skill level as you.
If it's same skill level, the person with the better car is gonna win.
Okay. But for making the difference, it isn't just meta that matters. But
right.
Yeah, but like when
There's
you're at
a
certain
difference
skill
in skill, like then the driving matters. When there's an equal skill, the car is much more of a crutch.
Okay. So, and also, what about? So I suppose if we were to use exactly what we did, and then put that as to what happened, is that yeah, exactly what you just said. On a skill level, it is the better driver. Once leveled, then it is the car that makes a difference. And I would say that. Would you agree that the opposite sides of meta had us way closer than any of the other times we did it? The basic grand races, yeah. So I would say it makes a difference, but I'd probably lean more on your side now of it making less of a difference. I think I'm happy to agree in that point and exactly what the results show. Oh god. I am curious then. It really just being a preference thing of why the need to use meta is such a strong thing, I suppose. But I know that's more rehashing what we've talked about, but I guess that's just what came to mind, is that if that can be done in the non-meta vehicles, not having to use those meta vehicles, I don't know, maybe it would more so put me in a place of like, well, okay, why must the meta vehicles, why is it so difficult to adapt to not using the meta, if that makes sense, as you showed off it.
Well, again, that's the point that I said that I can only speak for myself, and it's not really a matter of adapting either, because I bet when you use the Agera, you're like, there's a lot of times where like, if I was in a different car, I would have a much easier time, just simply because A, maybe you don't use that car a lot, but B, also because you might not play as much as some of the people that use it all the time. So those people that play more often and have grown accustomed to the meta, they won't have much of an issue adapting to the worst cars, because, for example, the Agera is the hardest car in the game to drive consistently, and especially with like higher sensitivity via direct mode. And obviously, the big caveat is I'm talking about driving really fast. Like, you could drive it and stay on the road, but like at pace, that's when it becomes an issue, especially when trying to hit gutters and all that. So
as a player,
it's not a matter of like adapting. It's just, again, that's the point where I said like I can only speak for myself and the reasons that I have.
As a player who is definitely not at the top of the skill curve, I would say throttle control is one of the biggest things for me. Where it's like throttle control is where I fall on, that being the most difficult. But maybe that's just me personally. I've just always struggled with throttle control. I think the crew 2s,
Yeah, other players do.
the crew 2s made me accustomed to the insane downforce those cars have. You can coast a bit and then slam the throttle and you'll make it through a turn. Yeah, no, I suppose if I was to cap it off, is it being the spec restrictions, making it the main thing, being the Grand Race restriction. For that specific restriction, I think where you may think that not having it spec restricted is more important, I would maybe say just add way more routes, but I can see where that would be a one or the other. I think for the weekly Grand Race, it's a fact of choice. I think we agree strongly on almost everything for a ranked Grand Race. In fact, if you asked me before today, I probably wouldn't have said it as much of like a we need it. I still kind of err on the side of God, I wish we had Crew 1 PvP, but I think we strongly agree on the ranked Grand Race. I think the only thing we disagree on there is the use of Fomo in ranked Grand Race. I think meta definitely makes a difference, but not as much of a difference as before. And I think it's obvious where we disagree and where we agree, and the point proven. I would say there's much more to bring up, unless you have anything else you wanna toss in for discussion.
Mainly because, like you said, like for you, like it's you would much rather have more maybe prior, but now you may be like, oh, you know, I would be open for that. You said that TC1 PvP is something that you would like to see, and
yeah.
I think the main thing that most people have been preaching is like no one's saying don't add things for casuals. It's add things for both player bases, and that's what's not really happening.
Sure.
A lot of the content has been more aimed towards a casual player. Not to say that there hasn't been things that they've added for competitive players. Obviously, they added direct mode. That was huge. I mean, like no one expected that. They changed clutch. I mean, that forever changes the crew. In the aspect of you can hop on the game. Like someone buys the game today.
Yeah.
Can hop on, and the input will not be something that will be limiting them.
But you mean
that
on
is
a day-to-day basis, I guess.
Well, day to day, and if they wanted to become more competitive, whereas before you were going to be limited by your input. If you had a controller prior to all the changes that they've made, via direct mode, clutch, and all that, there was a skill ceiling that the game hindered on you because of the input. Whereas now that's not the case. Wheel players, controller players, keyboard is definitely the short end of the stick right now, but I think that really comes down to issues maybe balancing it, like because it's a very finite, a very direct input, unless like you have like an analog keyboard and you have like
direct mode, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, well, they have like wheel steering, like and stuff. There's stuff that you could do, but it's not as intuitive as wheel and controller, which is the point that some people that on keyboard have. So, but the fact that you can actually is just like you can hop on and play the game, and if you decided to be competitive and try to get as far as you can, and the input isn't limiting you anymore, which is huge.
What I would say sucks big time is that it has to be, in any way, sweats versus casuals. Because what I was going to say is that, like, I thought about mentioning the like, you know, the thing I already mentioned, the amount of sweats versus the amount of casuals and how much time, yada yada, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because something like comp mode is what would solve that. And it would mean that we wouldn't have this situation in which a decision that aids one is negative to the other. Because where at the end of the day, I can still, where I would probably end it, personally, obviously I know that we disagree on matters, but like, if I was to give the final note of my take, is that like, the main stage mode, I like it at the end of the day, and I think the on Saturday it being done is nice. I think all I would add is maybe boosted XP, and something we never got onto because you mentioned the comp separate mode, is I also thought that separating the modes specifically on the Saturday and giving the modified mode a 1.5 times XP boost, a 2 times XP boost. Essentially adding a separate incentive for players to play the casuals, that they can feel good about not playing the basic mode, yet the ones who want to play the basic mode, and, you know, money isn't the reason that they want to play the basic mode, they still get a basic mode to play. I think comp would maybe do that better, but I think something like that would also achieve a similar thing. But, yeah, I think it sucks that we have to be on that opposite side, and I can see where my takes were one way and your takes were one way, but, add comp, basically, every tower. Add comp, and maybe private lobbies.
Yeah, private lobbies will go so far. I mean...
Well, I suppose private lobbies, if you can fully customize them, would also completely remove... You could just... Oh, I want to play Grand Race. Okay, it's Saturday. Oh no, modifier's on. Oh, but Simji's running this, and this Grand Races. You know? Like, it would... Yeah. Private lobbies and whatnot else. But I think it was a fruitful discussion. It's been good having you. I'll call this at the last Grand Race for tonight.
Yeah, it was nice get to chat.
You gonna be going live or?
Probably not today. I had to wake up quite early for this. So.
Oh, sorry. What time is it for you guys?
Well, right now it's 1:57, but I woke up early just to be ready, and I went over some things that some talking points that
okay, that makes sense.
I get just to be ready, you know.
Had to dress nice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I have a suit and tie on right now.
Yeah, of course. Same. What's your plans for the rest of the week?
You know, that's the good thing and the bad thing. I have no idea.
Oh.
I'm just kind of just going with the flow. You know, I'm thinking of video ideas, other things that I can maybe try to do, and probably have some streams littered here and there.
I was actually wondering if you'd be up for, and then I was gonna reach out to you with this, but then the video and that discussion happened, and I was like, oh, that would be interesting. I'd love to talk to him about it. But I was wondering if you'd be up for, essentially, so your videos are very much more information based, right? Helping players, understanding, like you did that amazing video which was all of the different handling update stuff.
Yeah.
Would you be up for things like, because my audience definitely way more of the general audience, but as a pipeline for my audience to your audience as well, stuff like if I went, oh hey, Mr. Simji, Mr. First name Sim, second name G, what out of all of the cars that you tested, what are just the ones you'd have to pin out, maybe top 4 that just the casuals would want to know about? And then a video where using that knowledge, obviously credited and shouted out, all of that, all possible in the situations where it takes more explaining, maybe even having you in them. Would you be up for some collaborations in that kind of vein, I suppose?
I'll be open for it. The video that I did upload, that's kind of the premise that I did it under. I only highlighted the most important things to kind of just filter out all the cars that, even though they did get improvements, just to kind of get people kickstarted with Season 6 and not, you know, have them have to go test everything out. Like, they can kind of like, okay, like, oh, the Supra is good. And like, I really like that car. Oh, I'm gonna use that.
That makes more sense.
All that.
Because you did exactly what I was mentioning. But it's good stuff. I definitely dip out of the sort of more information based. I'll toss in the information based every now and then realize that like I need more information. But I definitely dipped more into the casual content side of it now, and it's nice to be able to I suppose it's why I'm more on that side now. In the crew 2, I was a lot more that, I suppose. I think the length of Grand Race definitely maybe keeps me far away from it as well. And I've never really felt it as like a streamable thing for me. How is it streaming the Grand Race? Because you are able to do it way more consistently than I am.
Honestly, for me, probably one of the things that makes it most fun, like everybody. The only thing that sucks about it is there's always people that don't get into the race, and that's why private lobbies would be so huge. But there's always a couple people that can't get in, and it sucks because it kind of feels like everybody's kind of just fighting just to get into the lobby, and then when they get in, then they have to fight everybody else in the lobby that's ramming. So
is that what's enjoyable about it? Is it that it's a community of good Grand Race players who are able to race together because you're live, meaning that's an excuse to get together, I guess, rather than like pings in a Discord being like, guys, can you all get on now?
It's definitely a community thing. I wouldn't say it's necessarily only when it comes to like having good players. But there's players from all different skill levels. There's people just trying to get better at the game and go up against people that are better, so they can aim to self-improve. It's definitely that. Also, the saying, "Iron sharpens iron."
Yeah.
So people are gonna try to do their best to beat me, and I'm gonna do my best to not let that happen. So we have and doing it obviously in a clean fashion. We push each other to do better, and getting to see people improve. That's been a huge thing. There's a lot of people in the channel that have improved vastly from like season 2 to now. Like the pace increases honestly remarkable, and shout out to those people that have put the work in, and little by little they've kind of taken certain things that not only myself but other creators have said to improve, and it's just good to see just the people come together and just race, have a good time.
I've had this with Rhino as well, where he's given me an estimate, and it's more of a New York estimate, where he's been like, if you buckle down and did some New Yorks with the right knowledge, you'd get to this and this and this point. What's your estimate on me? Where based on today, where do you reckon I could close out on the say I stopped making the 50th video on OMG new car? Say I go to Grand Race, stick on Grand Race. Where's the cap for me, do you reckon?
The first thing would be is, are you talking about like an average Grand Races, like you just queue up, not streaming, or are you talking about stream lobbies? Because those are totally different animals.
Oh, interesting. What, because of stream sniping, I guess? Yeah,
like you're gonna have a much different experience in stream lobbies than you are gonna have in regular Grand Races. So that's the main thing, is keeping that in perspective, because that's very important.
Give me an estimate on one and then extrapolate that to the other.
So average Grand Races, you would definitely win more if you played more. Obviously, in trying to improve on certain things, certain aspects in your racing tool bag. In stream lobbies, that's where things get a little bit difficult, because there's a lot of mind games that come in play, and slipstream being so powerful that it is, and you gonna be going up against more players that have a little bit more knowledge per se, just because of their playing time. You would be able to hang more with them for the most part in the Grand Race. At some time, you might still fall behind in some aspects on like certain routes or certain classes, because maybe you're not familiar with it, like hyper. And the cuts, obviously, that's a huge thing as well. Like you could lose slip from a specific cut if you're not careful and have not like nos for it. But you could definitely, if you put your mind to it and you actually try to improve, you can stay in slipstream for longer. Again, it really comes down to who you're going up against, because again, the skill gap is very, very wide from the crew. So.
If I had to self-diagnose, I think what I do too much is ever so slightly bottle a turn and then panic nos, especially if people are right ahead of me. I'll panic nos and then I'll dip out of top half nos, which is probably the stupidest thing I do. Have you seen much of my gameplay?
I've seen some of it, yeah.
What would you say? What would you diagnose me? What flavor of skill issue would I have to tackle first?
First thing is car control.
Yeah.
It's the main thing. Because the more mistakes you make, you're gonna have to use more NOS, and then it's gonna put you more in those situations that you just described, which is something that clearly you're not very fond of. You would choose not to be in that situation where like you mess up a turn and then like you have to dump your NOS like because like you're scared of losing slip.
Yeah.
Another thing, it's just general. It really depends because you use more different cars.
Yeah.
If you're using, let's say, the Agera like consistently, you would be able to improve on that. But if you don't use the car itself, then you'd be able to get more car control. But until you go and try to tackle that beast, then it won't fully translate. It will translate a little bit because obviously you're able to control your car more. But there's no other car in the game like the Agera, especially with higher sensitivity, which I don't know what sensitivity or anything you run settings wise or your assists, and those are other things that are very easy things to change, and then you those are like your base, and then the driving, and then improving on that, etc.
I can work on that, I suppose. I will get to that. And yeah, it was absolutely great having you, Mr. Simji.
I appreciate you having me.
Would love to again at some point, and I appreciate the talk, and I appreciate taking the time.
Yeah, no problem.
Obviously, if you haven't heard of Simji already, do check him out. If you are in the what would you say is the pitch for someone to check out your channel? Say someone specifically who's the average SidWaj viewer. What are they going to the Simji channel for?
Honestly, I would say if you are looking for a more in-depth look to the game from a perspective that's very meticulous, and or you want to see what's possible in the game, like at a level that some people may dream of, then I would definitely say check me out, because not only, and I say this because I do my best to go up against the best people that I can, and that makes so the videos that you see that I upload are a bit more different than the experience that a lot of people might have. That's why I said like stream lobbies and average grand races are a totally different thing. So if you just want to see good racing and you want to learn some things, I guess that's the best way I can put it, is check it out.
Well, there you go. Check out Simji. And all right, I'll bid you farewell then. Have a good one, man.
All right, take it easy.
In a bit. And chats, to end the stream, we have a weekly article to go into. Alpha City, this is the next week of Motorfest. We've got the rewards with the Concept Sparrow competition, the Rocket Coat Underglow. We've got Clean Driving Modifier in the Summit. What else do they say? Do they tell us what the modifier is? The PvP modifier. Because if they don't, they should, right? I might try and get that info to them. I want them to put the PvP modifier, what it's going to be this week, in this. This is obviously a great change, that they tell us the base event name. AGP, Concept, what's the bundle? That's not going to be cheap. And it was MG. Go to the and chat, for anyone watching on Twitch, don't worry if you're trying to get your Twitch drops. I will raid another streamer who has the Twitch drops active. Custom bundle, meh. 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 Oh! No, meh. Meh. Meh? What's the theme? It's just Alpha City? Are these all city-based events? MoX Power. That's not the one I think it is it, chat? Chat, is that the Divided Roots one? Defining Perfection. What is that? I despise the MoX Power event if it's the one I think it is. Future Spirit, that's probably just one of the ones in wherever. Midnight Magic Sounds, no idea. I need to remember these by names. Detroit Finisher, I know that's probably America Playlist. I assume these... Oh, it isn't? Okay, good. I assume these are all the city-based ones, right? Alpha GP, City Summit, meh, meh, meh. Decent enough. I like that they do this in the articles now. This is an all-around positive. Alright. But chat, on that note, I've got a Joshua waiting for me, and then we're going for a movie, so I will see you guys in the next one. That's about it from me. Thanks so much for watching in a... Oh, wait, let me find someone to raid. Hang on. Let me quickly find someone to raid. Sir Fixfo's live again. I did raid Sir Fixfo yesterday. Is there anyone else I can raid? Who is this? Does she have drops on? Not English. Okay, I'm looking for English drops active. Or at least can speak English. Are we going Sir Fixfo again? Oh, drops. British English. SidWaj is live. Chat, no one told me SidWaj was live. Chat, can we raid SidWaj? I will say... This guy says he has drops on. Exploring the new update. PNX Vector. Let me hear him. Let me hear the vibe. Let me hear the vibe first.
Get new Doritos and Minecraft movie flavors while you can.
Chat, I won't be able to say hi, hello to this guy, so anyone in Twitch chat, let him know I said hi, hello, and tell him I have to go watch a movie. And,
Because I'd love to do... Before we do the new playlist, can we do some chases?
There you go. Tell him
Can
I
we
said,
be chased or do the chasing?
have a good stream,
I'd love
you,
to
bye.
experience that online.
Alright, and I'm gonna raid.
I love
on
that update.
Twitch, and
Before
then I'm
we
gonna end
go
the
into
stream
the
on
new
YouTube.
update, I do want to try the
PNX.
new chase stuff. Not new chase stuff, but yeah, you know.
Start raid.
So, in
if
terms
you
of
are watching on
playlist,
Twitch and you want to
can we just
continue
go
your
around
Twitch
timing
drops,
the
click the raid.
things, the
Head
road
over to
races?
raid. It's at the top. Click it so you can go over and continue your Twitch drop timer. If you want that free car, if you want that free jacket, if you want that free underglow, Twitch drops. Alright. I will see you boys in the next one. And there goes the raid. And in a bit, YouTube.